kid name drag. Like someone's dragging your name. I don't think it's supposed to be that. I think it's supposed to be a kid named Bragg, but that's how I read it. All right, let me get this sorted. Oh my god. We're so professional. Like we're so professional. Can't wait for the scuff. There will be no scuff. There will be no scuff, chat. We all know it. It grew up so fast. All right, I joined this session. Did that work? Alright, I think that worked. Okay, we're in that set. Can you see the chat? Did that work? Did that work, guys? Yes, we got a shared chat. There it is. Hey, alright. So now it's working. Hello. Alright. Yes, awesome. Fucking hell. So they can't hear me there. Mute that. Right. And then I join. Oh god, that game's loud. Game down. Oh, was it ad jump scare? Fucking hell, I forgot the ads were there. I forgot there were ads. God damn it. Alright, okay. Let me change the sound options a bit. Ambient sounds down, music down, UI down, VoIP on. Is an ad playing right now? Ah, fucking hell. No scuff. Oh, okay, I have to wait. Alright, no ads. You out of the ad jail. Okay, awesome. Oh, I can read the shared chat. On OBS. Alright, that's great. That's great. Oh, we're doing so fucking well. We're doing so well here, chat. Wait, what? Oh god, what's going on? Right, so if I do that, let me turn off the music for you. Hello. Okay, I could just join them, right? Hold on, I'm gonna switch the screen soon. I just need to make sure I can actually do this. Friends? Oh no, I can't see the session. Do they need to open it back up? Oh god, the screen's gone black. Alright, fucking hell. There's no scuff. No scuff is happening. Can someone tell Dilo to invite me? Can someone in chat tell Dilo to invite me? Whoa, zany. I can't join. Share chat, bog chat. Oh wait, I need to be online. Hold on. Alright, there we go. Alright. We'll get this working. How's everyone staying? Say it in a very nice way so you don't bother everyone who's actually playing the fucking game, I suppose. Can I join now, actually, now that because I was set to offline. No, I can't see anyone. Oh my god, what's going on? Can I just join here? View profile, training. Are we there yet? No, I can't join there. Alright, I'm gonna message. Can someone invite... Oh, Dilo's typing. Alright. Sevi friend code? Dilo, you already have my... We're already friends. We're already friends, Dilo. Devastating. Are we no longer friends? No. Alright. How do you find your friends? Oh, there it is. Whoa! Yes! Oh, it begins. Join game. Hey! Fuck! Yeah, let's go! Let's go! Yeah! Hello! You're right, lads?
Hello.
You're right, lads? How's it going?
Doing
What?
pretty good.
Hey, nice. Alright, I gotta say, I've never played this game before. I don't know what the fuck's going on. What are we supposed to be doing?
Oh, same. We're in the same boat.
Is that everybody here?
I think that's everyone. Alright, this thing's a bit quiet. Let me crank everyone's sound up. There we are.
Moderator is
Alright, fucking hell, these are
doing dev
huge.
stuff.
These are massive, fucking hell. I know everything's bigger in America, but fucking hell.
Okay, it's on top.
Yeah.
Climb. Ooh. Oh my goodness.
Hang on, I'm gonna just summon my mod so we can get here.
God, this is nice. Oh! Oh.
Ah!
Eh.
He should be joining us presently from his dev stuff.
Oh fuck, do we need
Thank
to
you.
invite Dawn?
Oh, yeah. I completely forgot.
I have like one eye on the game, one eye on my chat, and one eye on the Discord. You're driving the opposite side of the road now. I mean, that's not very useful to me, because I can't fucking drive. I'm a fox. That doesn't do anything for me. I don't know which side. I just go straight down the middle. This is lovely. This is scenic.
Someone called.
Yo!
You called?
Ah,
Oh,
there we
a
are.
wave.
He has
Look.
appeared.
Wait, how do I wave?
Hold down X, and it's right at the top. You right? Oh. Oh, thank you. Nom 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 nom. Fuck yeah. Can I sit down? No. Wait, 1, 2, and 3 are all bound to having a fucking cigarette. That's fucking great.
God, I'm trying to find my people on my friends list. I can't remember.
Oh, this is the fucking life. Ciggy in the
Did you
mouth,
share that link
burgers
I
in
sent
your
you?
hands.
Yeah, I did.
It's just me as the
I'm just trying to get Dawn in, but I can't remember what their
release
Steam
burger.
is.
Sounds like a you problem.
What kind of tobacco magic is this? For being bored.
So oh, no worries, Octo, that's fine. That's more than alright. Is the sound
Oh,
alright
it's too.
for you lads?
There we go. Dawn has been added.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. What's better than one
Sphinx
RV?
is-
Two.
Not getting microphone.
Someone left the fridge open. God damn it. Like fucking animals. Cigarette mountain. I'm just gonna little
Where are you
fucking
taking that?
There's Sting. Sting's there. Oh,
F. Oh.
yeah, your microphone is working.
Ow!
Okay.
Oh, someone said, that doesn't look good. That's not good.
Oh,
Ah, but what if I told you it was the same cigarette?
Is that
Oh no! Oh no!
I think this might be all of us.
Is that everyone?
Yeah,
Are we all here?
Shadow and Ghost are unable to join us this time.
Alright. Start your
So,
engines.
yeah. Yeah. The way we'll identify which RV is which is the dartboard I put in the back of one of them.
Oh, alright.
They both share a health bar
Hello?
as well, so we'll have to be careful.
Hello! I heard that. Alright, they all
Other than
share.
that, split up
Okay.
and go.
Alright, back to the back one.
Basically.
I haven't switched over yet. I will in just a second. Might add to ending.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
okay.
The
No
Right,
worries.
right,
Oh,
when
it helps
everyone's
if the
ready.
microphone in the column is blue when it's on.
that was.
That helps a lot. Unless it's that weird.
Fuck did you throw that?
Can I use the dart? Can I use the darts? I haven't got any darts.
Bro things
Oh wait, I can
safe.
just.
Yeah, well done, genius.
Hold on.
What?
Hold on. I got it. I got it. I got it.
That's the second time you've done that.
E.
Okay.
17 points, I think that was? Nice.
Are we out of burgers?
Already? We haven't even fucking left. What do you mean you're out of burgers
Yeah,
already?
I was hungry. Alright. And I only had one. Some fatso had two. Look at me, I only had the one.
Put me down, bitch.
Right, are we all ready? Are we all ready?
I'm ready.
Ow.
Right. Alright, I'm taking the back one. I'm taking the back one. Whoever wants to join the best one, go to the one at the front, I suppose.
Right. So, stay, yeah.
Oh god, it's in
What is that?
fucking manual. Oh, I'm not. Oh god, we're fucked. Oh, we're fucked.
Do you want me to drive?
Who's driving?
Yes, please. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I ain't fucking doing that. That'll not work.
How the f-
No.
how- oh, the window's open.
I'm not driving.
Right.
Yeah, we're not. We're. I'll just look at. I'll be here and I'll just sort of judge every decision you make. And that's how we're
Just
going to
sit,
be sort
just
of
sit.
doing this. Pointy object that's thrown at the boat. Hey,
Let's see if
we're
it's not
going.
going to go ahead to start the van.
RV
I'm going to
wankers.
motion you and sit down before the gate throws you out the van. Yeah,
Oh
that's
goodness. All right. Well, I'm sitting down.
Yeah,
then.
it does that. It's jank.
I gotta say, booting it up. This is the most. Ah, we're on the fucking. There we go.
If you drive off the
Physics.
mountain and land a flip, we should get like the win.
Please don't drive off
How
the
did-
mountain.
We should. We
How
should
did they
just
get ahead of
immediately
us?
win, right?
That'll happen.
Yeah, I think they didn't. They. Oh. Oh no.
Whoa! Oh god. Oh god. Nah, that's fine. That's fine. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about
Oh.
that.
Oh no.
Oh.
That's
Good.
fine, we
Oh,
got
radio
this.
is
Beep
on.
it.
We got this.
Radio.
And into third. Da, 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 da.
Ah no! No,
Oh,
Joe!
Oh,
shit.
Jesus, here we go.
We just
Oh no.
we've
Oh.
already killed
No,
someone.
fucking hell!
Oh,
I'm
no.
out of oil.
Lads!
Oh.
Leaving Oggy behind, no!
I fell
Hello,
through
what
the
happened?
floor! I fell through the floor! Oh, there's a
Oh,
ball.
shit.
He just fell out.
How the heck?
This is why you
Hell
sit
no.
down.
What?
I didn't want to. I'm a.
What's happened to you guys?
Bounce around.
Oh.
All right. It's okay. It's okay.
We
I'll
lost one
sit
of the
down.
passengers because
Oh
they
my
didn't
God.
sit down.
Oh,
Back in.
oh my god.
I'm sitting down. All right?
Hey! Oh no no no!
I'm sitting down. Oh god, everything's so fucking loud.
We
So
go.
cool. Go.
Can we go? Can we go?
Okay.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Yo, who's smoking? I want to see. Well.
So.
No smoking in the van.
Wait, what?
Oh,
fucking.
I mean,
hell.
no, nobody's smoking here. That's crazy.
No.
Okay.
Don't worry, I've got the window
yeah,
open.
this
I've never
is
been
where
on
we
that.
start doing things. Right, go
Wait,
build a
what?
bridge.
Build a bridge. I was just gonna sit down.
Yeah, we're gonna cross this rocky patch in front.
Oh, I didn't realize
Full
manual
speed
labor was involved.
There's enough of us. I think we should.
Yeah,
work
what the
together
hell?
and take
Putting me to
advantage.
work?
Yeah.
We are not full. There's a full sending bit later
There
if
we
you
go.
remember.
There we go.
There is a bridge.
That's enough, isn't it? Two.
It's not. I don't think it's wide enough.
No, it just.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. Tell you what. All right, hold your horses. Hold your horses.
Right,
That's
go.
fine.
There we go. How many planks do you need?
Okay.
Right, come on.
Impatient.
All of
Come on. Stick it in one. Stick it in one. Yeah. Go. Oh, no, that's not
It is in one. Someone winch. Who's got the winch control?
Who's got the winch control?
I can get out.
Is that like a remote or something?
Pick up.
Oh, chat, I'm doing so much work.
Well, they fucked it up. Wait.
All right. Get rid of
We
these
need to
planks.
repair the
Get rid of
bridge.
these planks. Get rid of these planks. We don't want them to win.
Oi,
We don't
oi,
want
oi,
them to
oi.
win. We don't want to win. Get rid of these planks.
Run away
Get rid of
with
them.
the
Get rid of
planks.
them. No. Oh shit.
I mean, that works.
No. Run. Drive.
Hell yeah! Wait, let me in.
Thank
no,
you.
no, fucking hell, drive.
Don't forget the planks. We'll need them
Don't
later.
leave me behind.
Go, 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 go!
Right, yeah, like the door's open and we're missing one.
I can't get it. Yeah, I can.
Have we got everyone?
I think we got everything. We got everything. 3.
Stop the car!
What? Wait, what? Have we left out someone?
We're
There we
missing
go.
me.
Have we got everyone or not?
Yeah.
Okay, go, 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 go.
I think we got everything. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go, let's go.
The problem is that we can sort of. The other van talks so loudly, we can kind of hear
Van is
them as
liable
well.
as person. No, it's not.
Oh, yeah. Who is it that's topping out that microphone? Jesus.
Someone is absolutely decimating. Sounds like a fucking COD lobby in here.
Hey!
Nah, there's
Turned
not
out my
enough
game.
calling
Yeah?
your mum fat and saying they're gonna shag your dad for it.
Oh,
to
don't
be-
Yeah,
worry.
for real, man.
Don't worry. I've got those absolute zingers
Is this
lined up,
checkpoint?
ready to go. I'm absolutely ready for that.
No, it's not.
Oh,
Oh,
what
I
the
picked
fuck
up
is
a map.
this? I'm meat.
I don't want the map.
Oh.
Ah,
Alright, what we got?
Whoa! What's supposed to
Ah!
be?
We got poison.
Chat, do you think
Oh,
I
it's
can
a snake.
skim this? Do you think I can skim this patty? Oh, I just ate it. Oh, I shouldn't have ate that.
Oh shit.
Oh, I shouldn't have ate
Oh
that.
my god.
I should not have
I
ate
can
that.
hear them. Oh, that's a big one.
Oh!
all down to the snakes.
I
Uh,
don't.
That's crazy! What did you eat? What did you eat, brother?
I just saw a meat patty and I thought
Ah.
it was.
Oh my
pretty
god, guys,
good.
whose weave is on the floor? What the hell?
What? Oh my goodness me.
Ah, this is
Can I eat that too?
Ah!
But it's true, at least
Oh, no!
There was
Ah!
Whoa, what the fuck is that?
Ow.
Oh, is that a snake?
Wait, what?
Yo!
These snakes don't mess around.
There's... I didn't realize there was snakes.
What's happening? Hello?
Take that.
Uber
shit.
coming over from it, yeah.
I'm
Your
a
Uber
government-
will be with you shortly. Your Uber will be
What the hell happened,
Where the
dude?
hell am I going?
Oh shit, there's another snake there. Oh god.
Why are there so many snakes?
Why is this?
How are we meant to get back in our car?
Yeah, where are we supposed to be going?
You don't.
Yeah, I don't
Crossing
know.
this river?
Ah!
Oh shit! Oh!
I think we took a
Crossing
wrong
the
turn.
river?
Oh shit.
Well, back in the van.
Back
Give me
in.
the van. Oh!
We did, but I can't see
Oh,
past
no,
the
take
door.
it
Ah! There's a snake in there! There's a snake in my boot! What the hell?
What's going on in there?
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Tino.
Apparently I think there's a snake
Right, sit
underneath
down,
the thing
sit
that can
down.
somehow hit us through it.
Yeah, I got hit.
Oh, I get a power drill. Nice.
Okay, well, hey, let's go, guys. What the hell?
I'm a snake. Fucking hell.
I'm so poisoned.
I'm a
Good lord.
snake.
Oh, nice reversing.
I'm nearly
Hey
dead.
guys,
Oh my god.
do we have a
I'm
window
so-
here? I feel like
shit.
the window is gone.
I'm so close to death actually, I've just realized.
Is that?
Same.
Oh dear, is that poison?
Now it's not.
Yeah, like half of it's poison, the half is that I've been
I was
run over
wondering
like
why
twice.
the
Oh, mine's like.
Oh no.
smoke seems to
Who's
be
got
going
the bear
perfectly out of the
spray?
open space right now.
Bear
Who's got,
spray?
who's got the bear spray? Because that's
Bear
coming up.
I
spray?
don't think any of us have got bear spray.
Okay, we'll have
I-
to floor it past the bears then.
Jesus.
Oh, I went straight into fourth. Whoops.
You, Philip.
I thought this was just going to be a nice trip through the moors. No snakes, no bears.
Few snakes, few bears. Oh, it's not
Oh,
armor
wait.
that he's repairing, it's bears.
Whee! Checkpoint 1! Did we get there first?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, fucking hell. Winner, winner.
Quick,
And they've basically destroyed their other van by the looks of it.
Wait, what? Have they? What have they done?
Yeah, but we share a health bar, remember?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm worried
my-
about.
Oh no.
Quick, look,
Right, there should be
let's
bear
go.
spray. There should be bear spray in this van.
I've got it.
Oh,
Ah,
I got-
cool.
I got a cassette.
Yeah, make sure you carry it with you, like on you, like in your hand.
I got a cassette. Can I ward them off with my mixtape? It's pretty good.
I don't
Uptown
know how
Funk's
that-
on there.
but yeah. Hell yeah. Where even are they? I can hear them.
They're
Yeah,
all
I
the way
can hear-
back at. They're all the way back at the crossroads.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, leave them behind. They're dead. They're dead.
Right,
We picked
okay.
up all the bear spray. It'll be fine.
I could just faintly hear them.
I can faintly hear screaming in the background.
Alright, here we go. Into bear territory.
Should we
Oh,
kind of like
dear.
wait? Just in case.
Nah.
Nah, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
We'll get past the bears, then we'll...
Stop here, stop.
What?
What? What's
I
going
could
on?
literally see them from here.
Can you?
Can you actually?
Oh yeah! I saw a bit of them through the trees.
I don't know.
That's so fucking funny.
Oh god.
What are they?
Wait here.
I could. Oh my goodness.
They are so far behind.
Look, they snooze, they lose. Am I right?
Yeah, get back in the van, we're leaving.
All right, come on, full steam ahead.
Go.
Alright, keep an eye out for the bears, because they're going to be around here.
My Uber driver at 3 a.m. be like.
Get in the car, let's go!
Let's go.
We need the Mexican music from GTA 5.
Oh, can I put this tape in? Can I put this tape in actually? Can I put my mixtape
Yeah.
in? Oh, I hear a bear. No, don't stop so I can put this in. Just keep going.
That's why I'm flooring it.
Thank you.
I better grab the bear spray! Where is it?
Whoa, fuck,
Where
what
is
was that? Right, put that in. There you go.
The bear's going towards them. Oh god.
Okay, that's fine.
By the way, you left
That's
me
fine.
behind.
There we go. We got some tunes in. I think we're down
Wait for
one
me.
person. Yeah, I think we're down. Wait up. I think Dylan.
Help! I'm here. I'm on board.
Ow! What the fuck hit me?
Sorry.
Oh, right.
Alright,
Okay.
keep an eye out for the second bear.
I don't have
Second
enough
bear.
bear spray.
That's why I'm going to try and just get across the bridge.
Oh my god, it's like fucking Coachella up
I'm
in
gonna
here.
sit down
Fucking
before
hell,
you.
these tunes are fucking. Can I just throw this through them?
Right.
I just threw the tape through the window and it just went fucking flying.
Oh my god, they are behind us.
Are they
Right,
behind
stop
us?
here, stop here.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
Oh, do
stop
we need to...
and just watch them.
What's going on?
You...
Oh my
They're there.
god, they
Oh
are
my God,
fu-
there's
they
not
have,
a lot left
oh
of them,
my
man.
god, they have demolished their fucking car. Stop hitting me, whoever that is. Dino! I don't need that in my life.
I want to see...
Oh my god.
Oh, where did they go? Oh no, did I miss?
That is the majority of the health gone.
I want to see if they cross this or if they just fall straight off.
Alright, come
We
on.
got this.
Come on.
Come on, you got this.
Come on.
Right,
There
we
we
need to
go,
go, we need
let's
to go,
go.
we need to go, we need to go. Get in,
Oh,
get
fucking
in!
out. Fucking out, fucking out, fucking out, fucking out.
They're coming.
No, 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 no,
Hey,
no,
whoa,
no.
whoa,
Alright,
whoa,
drive,
whoa,
drive,
whoa,
drive,
whoa.
drive, drive.
Okay, go.
God. Let's get this fucking Venga bus going. Jesus. I didn't realize it was going to be this intense. Let's go.
Hey.
Oh my
You gotta
god,
follow.
it is a... They've got a fucking shell. They have a fucking shell.
Make up my
Oh
way
my
there.
God. Walking fast.
Fourth gear! Okay, this is where we
Hold
need
it.
to do... Yeah.
Wait, what, do we need to do something here?
Oh, come here.
What are we doing?
Uh,
Where's the van? Is it ahead or behind us?
turn around. You've got poison.
Oh,
take
we're
this.
so fucking ahead of them. I just heard one of them be like, oh, are they behind
Oh, they're
us?
ahead.
Yeah.
No, here they come.
Here they come.
Oh,
What the fuck have you done to your car?
What is
the
left
fuck
of
is
that?
this?
Nothing, guys.
anything
Nothing
less
wrong
than
with
this
the
thing.
view.
John.
Do you guys like it?
It's a van
What?
pain.
We get
Right,
it
whoever's been
makeover.
poisoned, take an antidote.
A makeover?
Whoever's been poisoned.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, fucking
It's
hell.
certainly
There's another one
something.
here in my hands, if anyone needs it.
Oh, I got motor oil. Hold on, let me throw this in.
Okay, that barely did anything, but it's
Mara, do you
fine.
need antidote?
Oh, I can't get in.
Your game audio not working.
There you go. Right, can't attach there. Can I put it in here? Oh,
You
fucking
guys
hell.
might want to repair your van.
Oh, I should stop swearing, chat. I'm so bad. Right,
Where-
take that.
Oh wait, there's a
There
hammer
is
in
a
there.
hammer.
Yeah, take the hammer and use it to
Boom.
hammer time it.
Hammer time.
Oh, wait.
Can I hear you, Bura? I don't know. I genuinely feel like a third, but I have no fucking clue what I'm doing.
Don't worry, near do I.
oh, oh,
Where's the
Oh shit.
oh,
scrap metal? How do I get the scrap metal?
are we
you're being
winching each
attacked.
other?
Oh,
I think we're actually helping each other.
Oh my goodness me.
Oh god.
oh,
I mean, I
okay.
don't-
Well,
Alright.
Operation.
Oh my goodness.
corporation.
Is this
Alright, are we trying this or?
friendship and
Yeah,
teamwork in an
you might wanna
unlikely
repair the van.
place? Alright.
Stinky, you getting in?
I'm gonna sit in the passenger seat. Ah, this is
Or
lovely.
not? Okay.
Feels like I'm driving.
Stink? Wait, guys. Guys.
No,
Stink is not. Oh,
Oh,
are you guys just staying outside the?
The delicate
Can't.
show.
Okay.
I'm helping. Nope, that's
Did you unhook it? Oh no, it's. Oh. Okay.
Slight
Oh,
problem.
hey,
Our
stop.
van is stuck.
you got
Okay,
this.
we need the winch.
Hold on a minute, they are a bit stuck.
Hmm.
We need the front winch.
Problem, Captain. We can't leave. There's a fucking rock in the way.
Use one of the
Okay,
side windows.
wow.
Okay.
Just throw
Will
me the
do.
winch control of this hatch. Or out the window.
Oh, can I winch to like a tree or something? Ah.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
I'll
no,
winch.
no, back up, back
Oh,
up,
it's
back up.
I'll winch, Captain.
Got it.
Go. You good? You good?
No.
Because their winch is...
Oh, would they winch to us?
Wait,
Wait, the winch. like,
yeah,
stuck.
unattach the
Wait,
winch.
can I unattach it here? Reset.
Jesus
Oh
fucking
no,
Christ.
this isn't gonna go
Reset. No,
I
do we have to do it here?
I
You took it
disconnected
off?
it. Yeah.
Is it? It's still connected on my side. Oh,
Here you go.
It's off on my screen.
whoa!
Good?
I need you to unattach the winch so I can.
Okay, unattaching the winch.
At the front. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh god,
There we
big
go.
drag, big drag, big
Never
drag,
mind.
big drag.
This
Oh,
didn't
that
work.
did not.
Okay, you should be
Try
good to
and
go.
Do you want me to do it again?
The two van situation, yeah, we're both... Well, the main...
No, hold
van's
on.
got
I've
the
got a
big
plan.
engine,
I've got a plan. Hold on.
Alright. Let me drop that then.
I've got a plan. Yeah. Hold on.
Honestly, this
So
feels
if
like
I go for
anytime
like
I have to do any physical work. I
tree
just let
over here.
Other people do it.
Just come
Yeah,
up.
ain't
That
gonna
good?
work.
The trick is if you just stand
not get to
close
this
to
one
it and
here?
look serious, it makes it look like you're actually helping.
That's what
but
I'm
you're
gonna
not.
try and do. Yeah,
Oh.
go for like one of these. I just can't.
I look like
Yeah,
I'm helping,
grab
aren't
the
I?
winch pole.
Oops.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that
I've
looks
done it.
good. That
Wind
looks
it.
good. Oh, wind it.
Going that way
Who's
instead.
got the
Cool.
remote?
Oh, there.
Oh,
I am.
probably close that, shouldn't I?
I go my own way.
Oh, well, I didn't know.
I don't know if this was a good
can't-
idea.
Can't get in the
Why is
seat.
there a winch in front of
Ah
me?
shit.
Where is that going?
There's no one in the driver's seat.
Epi
Twitch.
pen,
Oh,
give
that's
me that.
fine. No one needs to drive. It's fine.
Six pack.
Ah,
Give me that.
okay.
Release beer.
I'm in.
Where's
I'm in.
all?
I'm in.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh, we're losing more
God,
stuff.
no,
Fantastic.
Oh, that's bad.
Oh,
That's not good, is it?
no.
Hold on, let me turn that fucking down. No. Oh, sorry. It's, what?
Oh, I
what,
was just gonna grab the planks of wood and move it so Mo can go across.
Can we winch it back? We should probably
You
get.
can try.
Is the winch still
we're
in the
not in a
front,
great
or is that
position,
just like a
though.
glitch? I can't see it. Oh, there we go. There we go. Bob's your uncle.
No, okay.
No,
See? Oh, no, back.
there you go.
Come on, a
You
little
need
bit
to
more.
release the one at the front.
Yeah, is the one at the front gone?
I've reset it.
Oh
There's a
yeah, it's
second
gone.
one.
It's
Ah.
gone. One at the front's
Ah.
gone. Right.
Okay,
There we
keep going
go,
back,
all
keep
four
going back,
wheels.
Keep going back.
Whoa.
What a bit of. Oh, fucking hell. I was got absolutely flat in there. Oh. Oh, God.
Ah,
Too much?
Oh,
medium.
okay.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. It's not the best.
Maybe.
Mash on that
Medium.
gas pedal. Don't encourage them.
Right. I made
Alright,
it.
there we go. There we go. Lovely stuff. What's
Right,
the
let's
other
go help
car?
the others.
Okay, I
We're
think
in a
only
bit-
one
we're
of
in a-
them's working because this isn't.
We're
Oh, they're...
a little
the
bit of a
best.
predicament.
Ah, you're going this way. Okay.
Ah,
Probably
alright.
smarter.
Nah, it's fine.
I don't know if it's smarter, but
Ah,
we're
Definitely
committed.
easier.
it's definitely something.
Yeah, you've started now. You're gonna have to
Go on
finish
the
it,
hand.
aren't you?
Your repair
Plank
technician
is so
is here.
difficult. Ugh, come on.
Hey.
The chassis on that's gonna need a hell of a lot of repair.
Well, whoever gets to the repair station first will...
Ow! Why is there a snake in here?
There's a snake in there.
Is there still a snake in the van?
Oh my god.
There's a snake in my van!
Progress.
There's a snake in my boot.
Why is this fucking Steve Irwin's RV over there? What the fuck?
How do I drink this? I'll chug it.
We go exploring.
Did we pick up the sticks?
Pick up the what now?
Oh, the
No.
Go get 'em.
no. I think I was too
I've
busy
got my
trying
hands
to...
full, mother...
I was
Well,
holding a
take the hammer
cassette
and go
tape.
get it.
That was really important.
You go get him.
No. You go get him.
Let me put
Oh god, why did you do that? Oh,
Brother.
Let me put the hammer
Oh
down.
my god.
lads, I've fallen. I've fallen and I can't get
Okay,
We've
up.
got a dead one. We've got a dead one.
Fuck's
I
down.
shall revive.
I
can
jumped
you even
jumped
do
too
this?
much.
There
Thank
you go.
you. I jumped a
Can't
bit
drop
too
here.
hard.
Down.
I'm fucking useless.
That's not gonna work.
Why is Della going the long way around and just go across there?
I'm not
Good question,
questioning
Nathan.
it. Look,
Smooth break.
look, we
let
could
me
just
say.
we could just leave at any time, right? We could just
Okay.
leave at any time. It'll be fine.
Okay.
Hey! Hey!
Hey, oh wow! What? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding
That was
me?
nearly perfect.
Right, I
What
will
did
have
you
to spawn
do?
the new RV. Hang on.
Oh my god, my health is all
No.
fucked again. Right, I grabbed the
I
tape.
can't remember what the button is.
Burgers in there. Oh, and bear spray, but like... No, fuck, lads, they're driving off, we need to go. Wait, where's
Did you
our...
press it
He's
earlier?
running away with it.
Where's our RV?
Hey, where's the
Oh,
van gone?
Don't tell us
Just
the
picked
RV
it.
is at the fucking start.
Oh!
Don't tell me it's at the start.
Uh-oh, off he goes.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Which
We're
one
stuck.
is
Right. New van. What the fuck?
Where did they go? Oh, what?
I don't know if that's the
ah.
new van that's just spawned in.
That's not. That
Is
doesn't
it?
look good. That doesn't
Well,
look good.
I don't know. How,
That doesn't look
how did we get in
correct.
this situation?
Oh! Now what the hell?
What the heck?
What has happened over here?
Oh fuck.
I-
Well, you
I'm
know,
trying to spawn in a new RV
I mean,
and I don't know
this
where it
is an interesting tactic.
I can't get in.
No, I think honestly that was what I was thinking about doing.
Has anybody seen another
Do we
RV?
just- Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh no,
Wait.
good.
Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
do that. No,
Oh.
keep that
Yeah,
up. You
don't
almost
worry,
got me.
don't worry.
You almost got me. Come on,
Right,
launch
I mean-
me.
Don't worry about it.
You-
What other RV? It's right there.
How are we gonna get
Yeah, this one, right on top of the...
Can someone pick me up and
Yeah.
try and
Wow.
like
What
fling
you
me
want
in?
to do? This is perfectly recoverable, right?
Oh,
You
go
just
on.
need to get in.
No,
there.
it is. As soon as we can get in, it actually is
Yeah.
recoverable.
All right, fucking
Alright,
get in
come
then.
Come here.
If you don't fucking know what's going on.
Okay. Hey!
Hey, there we
See?
go.
Smart.
There we
Can we
go.
drive?
All right,
Then you just start the engine and just drive off.
all right. Simple as.
Yeah, and then you put it in first gear.
Put it in H. Come on.
Use first gear, guys.
Hold on, someone throw me in. I got this.
Oh, do we need that bear spray?
Oh, no, I've just
We
do that.
worked out
There
how
we
to
go.
get this down yet.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I've picked it up for
You
you.
got
Back with manual.
Hey, let's
See,
go.
we smashed
Let's
it.
go. Let's fucking go.
Now you need to back
Woohoo!
Oh, back up.
Turn your wheels the other way and
Oh my
put it
God.
in reverse.
The hell is my Prindle, bro?
Listen. Hey.
Oh.
So you're currently trying to reverse into the building.
Ah.
Okay. Ah.
We're trying to just hang off a
that
cliff
what
in
it
another RV. Oh God,
Yeah,
are you
first
serious?
gear that way.
Frank? Oh dear.
What?
Oh, first
I was
gear.
hanging
Hold
off a cliff in another RV. Where?
Where's is Mura at the start?
on.
Where is
Okay.
Mura?
What was that?
I
Why is
don't
it
know
cliff?
what they're talking about. I
Mura.
don't know what
Okay.
you're talking about. The
They
only,
took the
the
other
only
RV and
is
just-
here.
Oh,
Fucked off.
well,
And just dipped.
oh,
Yeah.
that seemed like an
No, there's
important
only,
part
there
of
was
the
only
RV
ever
that
one
fell off
RV
just
that's
there.
right in front of us. I have no idea what you're talking about. You are absolutely hallucinating. I totally did
I
not
think
drive the
we had
RV off the
reset
cliff.
it.
All right, there's a tree here. Oh,
you
fucking hell. Oh Christ. Oh Christ. Don't know how to drive stick. It's time you learned. Fuck off, game.
Well done.
All right, okay. Let's just take this
That's,
RV and we'll be fine. That'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Interesting.
Wait, am I
The other
being
one's-
heard?
You're being perceived. Hello.
Hello.
The new
Hello?
one's definitely going to spawn on top of the thing again.
It's gonna be
Oh,
there,
100%.
isn't
At
it?
least you know how
You
to
are
get
being
it out
heard.
now.
I know who said that though. Hello.
Yes. We
Hang
hear
on, I'm
you.
gonna go over here and try and spawn.
We
it.
understand you.
Yeah, see,
Here.
I got push to talk on.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I hear
there
you.
we go.
I heard a crack.
Second team's
Oh,
van
sorry,
is here.
okay.
Wait,
Two
can
lines.
people hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we can
Yeah.
hear you.
Yeah,
We
we
can
can
hear you.
hear you.
Oh,
Who-
fucking
who-
yeah.
Okay, so does this
Much
mean I can
better.
finally put
Down.
toggle on or
Much
no?
better on.
Toggle
I tried
is like
toggle
you have to
again,
press it.
because it
I don't know.
could be
Wait,
toggled.
hold on. I want to see what I have.
You're
I have
peeking a little
trouble.
bit. But we hear
Lads, lads, I'm gonna be real
Yeah,
with
yeah.
you. I was muted for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, it is. I was
I was
toggling.
I was
Oh,
just having a
Believe me,
lovely night.
Believe me.
you're peeking.
Oh, am
Yeah.
I?
Believe me, it
There's
is-
people-
Okay, so
I've done
I
this
can be
many,
heard
many
now,
times.
right?
Am I
Many,
peeking?
many times.
Yeah, but
You
you're
can be heard, yes, but you are
peeking.
peeking.
Finally!
Oh my
God.
god.
Oh god, who's that? Alright, less of that.
Okay, I need...
Nora, change your
The
settings,
issue-
please.
Oh my
Please!
god. Oh my god. No, no, no,
No, no, no, turn it down, turn that down, turn that down, turn that down.
Please turn it down. I'm so sorry.
For the love of God.
Get on my van, I'll drive us away.
How loud was it?
Oh, wait.
Jesus
Wait
Christ.
for me,
Oh,
please. Get me in.
Yeah, and I'll drive us away.
Get me
Did
away.
it sound like an
Get me in.
Xbox
Get me away.
360 man?
Fucking COD lobby over here. Fucking hell.
game.
The game's on max. What the
Alright,
hell?
alright, I'm gonna. Oh, I'm not gonna drive.
What can
I'm
I
not
say?
gonna-
I need them gains, bro.
You don't need that many.
Alright.
It's fine. I don't like this one. Let's just take that
Go
off.
Patrick.
Let's turn that off. Can we get,
This is a nice, lovely episode of
Can we get
VBRIT
some
Scare.
can we get some Wonderwall on? Hold
It's
on.
the VBRIT Scare World Tour, you know.
I'm sure they didn't.
Oh no, that's the tape. I don't want the tape. How do I eject the tape? Oh, I can't do it when we're driving. Alright, we'll do that later. That'll be fine. Alright.
Oh, they've just left the garage.
Alright,
We
let's
got it?
giddy up.
Giddy up!
Don't go off a cliff.
Back
this
to
time.
bottom gear.
Alright. Slow and steady.
Let's go. Oh my god, what's in the glove box? Oh, nothing. Alright. Whew. Lovely time. Oh, the door's open.
It's funny.
There we go. Close that for
I
us.
think it might just be for me, but that makes it funnier.
Slow and steady around this turn.
Yeah, yeah, nice one, nice one, nice one. It's a good bit of driving.
Oh, hi,
that.
Bear.
Oh, oh, that's fine. Just. Oh, did we just fucking hit the bear?
Keep going, keep going, keep
Alright,
going.
just go. Do not get out. Do not share your insurance information.
Oh, they're
with
all
the-
there.
Oh my fucking god, they're going like the clappers. Come on, come on.
Huh. I thought they were behind.
Don't worry about the bear. The bear was fine. The bear was fine. Don't worry about it, chat.
Alright.
All right. I hear laughing above. What are they doing? Oh god,
Okay,
bear,
we've got another
bear,
bear.
forward.
I can hear them talking.
It's alright.
Okay.
Let me check my pretty fast.
Come on, let's go. God, this is some clean driving. Well done, Mara.
Oh, I see them on the bridge.
Okay.
RV wankers.
Nearly nailed it.
Oh, they're there.
RV wankers.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey guys.
Oh,
Just you to bin it into a wall.
how polite.
Did you try? Oh.
I will turn this vehicle around.
You dare threaten me?
The wheels on the RV go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the RV go round and round all day long.
Hey. Hey, boy.
I'm in like gear 2 for all of
Right,
this. So
let's
yeah.
not forget these this time.
Alrighty.
Okay, okay,
Right.
alright.
Winch poles.
Okay.
We're great
Save
at
your
this.
life.
And by we, I
Alright,
mean
we're here,
you,
guys.
and I will
Right,
not do much.
2 winch poles
Oh,
each.
okay,
2
yeah.
winch poles each.
We need a wheel? No?
No, we've
Ramp.
all
Oh,
this
the
bit.
ramp. We had ramps this entire time, we just didn't use it.
Ah!
I'm gonna pick up a ramp
No,
because
the other
I
RV
think
doesn't have a
that's
spare wheel.
fun.
There you go.
Okay, let's drop that there.
Oh, so you can use these to like get a bit more lever. Okay, cool.
Ow!
Yeah. Should we keep them in the thing now?
Oh, probably. Should we put them on the side?
Is that 2? Oh, it's probably 1 for each thing,
Oh,
right?
wait.
You guys can have that one.
I mean,
Inside.
we
Well, they
need.
have been given triangles.
There's 2 wheels at the front, so
Wait, let me-
I presume the 2 is just for one RV.
Wait,
right?
no, you're right. Never mind. Ours.
How do I
Fine.
get on this?
That's alright.
There we go. Can I place this
yeah.
on this?
That's
Attach the
right.
shelf. There we go.
Oh, could we put this at the top? Oh, okay, yeah. Alright, the lead RV gets.
Oh, wait, it goes on top?
Yeah, it goes on top.
Ah, there's
Motor oil somewhere. Can't attach.
Open Oh,
There
you
we
can
go.
get through the
Oh,
fucking
Look,
top. That's
ramps. We
brilliant.
can use these as
That's
ramps.
the shelf.
Yes,
Oh.
Tails, we get it.
It's not on. I
Oh,
got
is
it.
it? Oh, is it attached? Oh, okay. You need to attach it. Okay, great.
Now it is, yeah. Let's go.
God, fucking palaver. Alright.
Wait, I actually love that. You inside? Oh, I'm not. I'm the only one
Wait,
inside.
which
Yeah,
van is
fixed it.
broken?
Right, I'm gonna get a good angle on this.
There's a van, bro.
I think the second bar we can't fix until we get to the.
Yeah, we need
If I-
the one.
Okay.
We need
What- yeah.
the
Stand
fuel
here.
station. Oh, God.
Seriously, I look.
I am
Oh,
not-
oh,
Vehicle.
hey.
I cannot be
okay.
blamed.
Well,
First one.
Don't be blamed for any serious injury that may or may
hey
not occur.
guys, should we
Second
take
one.
a detour follow them?
Take a what now?
A detour.
Oh, no.
Oh wait, I'm in the back one, aren't I?
Come back.
You good? I saw you.
Oh,
Oh, God.
You good? Oh
Say.
god. Oh god.
So
Yep, don't worry, I'm fine, I'm fine.
Are you good?
They're
You good?
not.
Oh. Oh
did
Christ.
nothing.
Yeah, thanks.
This was entirely you. I didn't do
Lord,
this.
hell.
I'm not responsible.
Bloody
like-
hell.
Looks like quite a pickle there.
Ooh.
You're right.
Oh, good, watch out for us!
Oh,
Right.
my bad. Oh,
God.
well.
Get the winch
It's
control
gonna
legendary.
break.
Nah,
It's definitely gonna
we're
I
break.
good.
don't know what we're doing with this plank. I'm gonna be honest. I'm just gonna put it there. Wait. Do you need this plank,
See,
lads?
this is why you shouldn't be allowed to drive.
I have
Hey,
a
I'm
car.
on
I am
free
allowed to
cans.
drive.
It's got all the fucking
Yeah,
ramps on
and
it.
why?
everything.
And look what you did.
W win.
I just drive. I didn't say I drive well.
Exactly. I'm not driving you.
There we go.
Oh, whoa.
Oh, they're going up there.
Hello?
All right. I see you.
Oh, we just
Look
said
at us,
no.
dude.
We just gave up on the rocks. Understood. Okay.
Yeah!
In,
We gave up on
I've got it in reverse.
across them, and we're just like, no, we're just gonna go on the grass next to it instead.
All right.
Right, you need to pull us up to the other side of the embankment.
So we grab the winch in a pole.
I got.
I'll grab
Just
it
stand
now.
here
No,
and
just
smoke,
keep
I'm
going.
gonna
You
be
should be able
honest.
to reach one of the trees.
Go.
Are we tandem?
Wait.
Are we attaching the RVs together?
Are we attaching the RVs together? That seems like a bad idea, right?
Oh. Hello.
You looped around a rock.
Oh. Yeah, there we go.
I'm holding my horses.
Hold them ladder. Gonna keep it tight.
There we go.
It's like-
Careful, because we don't want to go flying.
Ah, it'll be fine.
Oh.
Launch
Okay,
into
so
space.
we're kind of in a pickle.
Oh, are you?
No, that's a
Well, I mean, you're a bit of an ankle,
Um,
aren't you? Well, why don't you just
Well,
winch
it's
to the
fine, I
back
figured
of
out.
this one?
What is
Maybe
going
that will
on
work.
here?
I don't know. I was getting
What?
pulled up and now I'm
I'm
not.
trying to move the winch because it was on the other tree.
I really want to
fine.
use the
What's up?
Flippertronic for nefarious
Was it?
purposes.
Yeah, yeah.
I was
it's
fine,
it's
but
Oh,
I guess
okay,
I don't know
okay.
physics.
What do the cigarettes do? Oh, I was just using it because I wanted to destroy my lungs. I didn't realize they had a buff to them.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it gives you a
it's fine.
boost.
Oh my god, it does! It gives me a
It does give
sprint
you some
boost.
sort of boost. Careful there, because
Oh wow! I thought it would give me his lung cancer, but
Oh.
great.
Ah!
Oh dear.
I thought it was enough! Hold on.
Come on!
I'm really not helping here.
Yeah.
Suki's good for the stamina. Good lesson to teach. I know.
Nice lesson program.
We're learning. Oh god, I
Slowly.
heard
We're
someone's
learning, yes.
mic buzz. That's
See?
so good.
Mara was
Come
right.
on.
This is the magical school
You
bus.
got it.
We all
You
learn.
got it. got
Seatbelts,
it.
everyone! Oh god, I'm hanging. I'm
right.
being hung.
What?
Okay, I'm being fine.
Okay.
Right, hold.
Hold.
Right.
Holding.
Guys, help.
Help! How am I? How am I
Help
supposed
me.
to? Where are you? Oh.
Help!
Oh my god!
not
Alright,
original.
alright, I'll help you.
I've got it.
Ah, I
You
got it,
got
I got it. Wait.
Don't worry,
Alright.
he's got it.
You
Let me
ready?
reset it.
All
There,
right.
guys.
Yeah, yeah, sorted it.
Okay,
Right,
right.
are we gonna
Okay,
use
it's
our
only-
big-
Are we set? We did. Okay.
We
cool.
should probably
Okay,
do
no,
that,
wait, I can
That
get this.
will
I can
work,
get
but
this
I'm all
up.
for
I can
it.
get this up.
Can you do it? Can you do it?
Yeah, I can do it without winch, I think.
Alright.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
All right, Mr.
Back,
Fancy.
you might,
Pants,
yeah,
let's
you
see
might
what
need to back on a
can
bit though.
Oh, we're just gonna sit here and watch.
Fancy
We're
pants.
just gonna spectate.
Okay.
do.
Okay, maybe the wrench. Maybe wrench is up his the chance.
No worries.
I gave up on that real quick.
Guys.
To that idea.
The speed. The speed.
Oh yeah, I
that-
could do it. It's not.
Barely touches the hill. Maybe the wind
I can do it
not
without-
optional.
Mine. Hey, can someone help?
I respect the attempt.
Yeah.
An
That
attempt
five.
was
That
made.
5 seconds was inspirational. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Motivational right there.
Oh god, I'm stuck. Where am I?
Okay. Paul,
It's still on the winch. I haven't taken it off.
is the wrench connected?
You need a winch
Yes.
controller. You should have one.
You should have a thingy.
There we go. There we go.
There we go.
Pesky tire.
Just to chill out.
Just get a chill.
I'm here. I'm not doing anything. I feel like anything I could do to help would just make things worse, and that's my contribution.
You're just here for a good time, aren't you? Really?
Keep going.
I'm not here for a bad time.
I
I'm here for a good time. If anything, so y'all better thank me for not driving this thing, because...
Oh,
Hello.
Oh god, oh no, oh dear.
Whoa!
But,
Okay, I need someone. Okay, I need someone to
oh
whoa,
shit.
whoa, that's a bit much.
What just happened?
Okay, are you okay there?
Not really.
Good. Oh.
I'm kind of eating a bit of a tree
Do
here.
you have any ibuprofen? I got a headache.
No.
Need a bit
tree
more
in front of
ibuprofen,
us.
mate.
This is what happens when you
I
ask
ain't got
someone
any
to come.
ibuprofen. I got a headache.
Where are you? Can't
Ooh.
Just gonna smoke this. That'd be
How do we
fine.
recover
Hey,
this?
do you,
from?
okay, I don't have
shit.
ibuprofen, but do you want a blue paper towel?
Chat doesn't need to delete your
can I
messages.
have an
Oh
ice
shit! Can
pack?
you make a note of that on my Discord?
No, all we have is blue paper towels.
Okay,
Should I refresh?
Tell
Do
me
we-
anything.
here's an option.
Exactly.
Hold
Why
on.
don't we go get the checkpoint, so we don't have to do this again. Then we come back and
Why don't we
recover
just
the
leave?
Yeah, why don't we just leave and then...
Hello, guys.
Understood.
Stand
Why
down.
don't
Are
we
you
just
leaving
all
us? Are
abandon?
you leaving? Oh, are we abandoning that one together?
Why don't we
Alright.
just all
I think
go
we just
Yeah, I'm
abandoned it.
driving. Move.
Yeah.
Typical Top Gear.
Everyone
right?
on the
Send-
school
Why don't I send the
bus.
clip?
Get me in.
Send them a general
Yeah.
right now. If you mean the Discord, just send
Is,
them a
is
general.
everybody
Fine.
leaving
Let me
in?
just...
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
there we
I'm
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Wait, I don't have a
Right,
chair.
you just have to be careful.
Alright.
Wait,
Are you kidding me?
I'll
I
give you. You're
don't
gonna
have a
have to
chair.
balance.
What?
In the
Oh,
toilet you
oh,
go.
Oh, I'm going the bog. Hold on, I'm going the bog. I'm going the bog. Alright. I'm just sort of
We just got
awkwardly.
poor Oggy in the bathroom.
I'm just in the back. If anyone needs it, you can.
Oggy's been
Alright?
Every single
Take a
seat plus the
shitter.
bathroom.
If anyone needs it, just wait. All right, wait.
Oh, that's a beautiful
We there yet?
view.
I'm fucking hotboxing myself in this bathroom. Not gonna lie, lads. Windows are closed. Smoke is going everywhere. It is.
Don't worry.
It's
We're
fucking.
hotboxing you.
Wait, have you not got
Yeah.
your windows open in there?
Fuck no, man. It's fucking great in here.
You're just gonna go into like a sauna and get yourself high in that.
I'm gonna make this bathroom look like fucking Silent Hill by the time I'm done.
The moment you come out, you're just gonna have like those red veins in your eyes.
Like Elden Ring fog.
Alright, everybody out. We're here.
We're out.
Well,
Alright.
we're at the
Alright.
next challenge.
Close that
We've
up.
got to get up that hill.
Oh, this is the
so
next
winch.
truck or trial.
Yeah, we,
That
we,
is
ba-
not
we
a
need to
hill.
winch
That
all
is
the way
not
up
a
that
hill.
hill.
The winch.
What?
We need to winch all the way up that.
Man, that is
Do
not
we
a
have
hill.
somebody bring poles?
I was
We
about
have
to
two
say, do
poles,
we
I
have the winch
believe.
poles?
I believe we have two. Let me see. Yeah, we have
That's
two.
a slide. Yeah. Oh wait, can we get up
Alright.
through like these? Ah, okay.
Yeah, you can get up the ramp staircase
got a pole.
thing.
How far does the winch go up?
Just keep
Oh,
going
hold
until it stops.
So, where's the pole?
You just tell me where to put it.
touch it.
Alright, up here.
Here.
Attach it to a tree.
Okay.
Where I'm standing. That's good. Yeah.
Please.
Are we on?
Yep, we're on. Oh
We're
wait,
good.
you got a
Oh, there's some
controller?
there's some winches up here if anyone needs any. I don't know if you can hear me. There's some winches here.
Slowly.
Oh, yeah. Hello.
Oh, I mean,
Awesome.
You can
Slow
throw
and
down
steady.
again.
Say if anyone needs
Let me shut
clips,
that
I got a
door
great
so
fucking
we
bird's
can
eye here.
damage.
Wait for physics to take hold and launch it up the hill.
Be careful.
What is that? Oh, just up over here.
What's what now?
There we go.
Oh, I missed that.
Oh,
Nice,
okay.
nice, nice. Good one.
Now what?
No. Yep.
We're
Forward.
into park and we'll move the winch.
Alright, hold on.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to park
Oh,
here.
okay,
so I've got
okay.
more grip
Oh.
here.
Yeah, yeah.
There we go.
Okay, more grip. I only see 3 out of 4 wheels on the ground, but that's perfectly fine.
It's fine.
If somebody wants to grab
It's
the
fine.
winch and
Don't worry
just
about it.
free up there.
Is it in park?
On it. Which tree should I put it on?
Any tree will do.
If it's on the pole, it's good. Or unless you didn't put it on the...
Someone's playing
Oh,
a
you just pick
tape.
up the winch. Okay.
Mara, put it on this tree here.
Okay.
Oh wait, I'm
We're
gonna
up.
bring some of these winches up just in case someone needs them.
Okay.
I didn't realize that we can't take out the winch poles, so we probably will need some.
Alright, I'll bring some to you and you can decide where
Oh.
they go.
Guys, there's a snake over here.
Oh,
Snake.
fuck no.
There's a snake in my boot.
There's a snake.
There's a solid
in my boot.
snake here.
Snake?
Solid
I'm
snake.
very close to death.
They're pretty invincible. They're pretty invincible.
They're pretty solid.
Fuck, I
They're
can't
pretty
speak
solid?
today.
Are they pretty solid?
They're pretty solid.
Are they
and
the snake's
invisible.
pretty solid.
They're pretty solid and invisible.
Wow.
I think we've all just abandoned them to drive.
There we go.
There we go!
No, they made it, they made it.
Hey!
Whoa!
Let's
I
go!
shall repair you.
Winch controller.
Oh, it's fucking hell, frog.
Oh,
you
okay.
can't-
There we go.
Revive station.
Just get that in
Oh.
there. Get that in there. Fine. Brilliant.
Alright, who wants 6 cans of
Oh.
beers?
Are we all still
Hell
alive?
yeah!
Oh,
I want a
crap,
beer, yeah!
I'm gonna grab that one.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
Have another
brother.
beer! Have a beer!
We like to drink with VBRITs, because VBRITs is our mate.
I'm when we drink with me, breads, they get it down in 8.
7, 6. Oh wait, no one's drinking. Alright, never mind.
Yeah, I think we already finished the drinks.
We finished them in one.
Oh my god.
We finished the drinks before we could even get counted down.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh no!
What's up? What have we done?
Someone close the door.
Closing the door.
Wait, hold
Wait, what's this?
I'm
Wait.
adding the oh, so that like
Yep.
pushes the
What's
thing
it?
up.
I think we might need a
Oh,
winch.
it's
Should we
just
take
a
it?
flip it thing. Yeah, because
Ah.
Oh,
Who's
so
driving? Oh,
good,
okay, cool.
that's nice.
it also flips the car. So if we tumble it,
Hey, okay, where are we going?
Like,
Oh, this way, I believe.
Straight on.
there you go.
Yeah.
all right.
Everyone in.
Here we go.
Hello, where am I?
Bagsy
go
shotgun.
in,
Ah,
go
fucking
in.
up. Bagsy. Alright, I'm not going in that bathroom
Yoink.
again.
Hey,
It stinks in
I'm not
there.
going to the
Close the door.
Bathroom again.
Who's in the bathroom now?
please let this be a normal field trip.
No more field trip!
Is that everyone? Is everyone in?
Is that everyone?
I feel like we're missing one.
I think so.
Yeah, we are missing one.
Yeah.
Although me and Oggy are chain
Ah.
smoking here.
It's stink we're missing.
This
I have not
cigarette
tasted
has
cigarette
not
yet.
left my mouth since the beginning.
Yeah. But no,
I
It's
just
half
it reminds me
vile.
of that one meme. It's like 500 cigarettes.
500
500 cigarettes.
This taste is immeasurable.
That's stink.
Stink's
Look at
gone all the way
look back
down
here.
to a lake.
Oh,
Oh.
Yeah, hold up.
Wait, what?
Something.
I have no idea why.
let's get going then.
Oh. Okay.
Oh no, I dropped,
Okay,
I dropped
sure.
I threw my cigarette on you, Mira. I'm so sorry.
I was told that
That's
you have
okay.
to put the tip in your mouth and light it.
You what now?
Streamers
That
hydrate.
sounds a bit
Streamers,
sus, maybe,
please.
I don't know.
No,
I
that
don't
is
have
from the
anything
show.
to
I do remember
hydrate.
that. That's from the show.
Coffee, but that's it.
No hydration, just
Streamers hydrate. Hydrate. Who's hydration and why should I?
I had like a tango apple.
God, this is
I've
lovely.
got a
Yeah,
fan
can I
zone.
play some Pokemon Go here?
Ah.
Like,
I
will
heard
have
there's an
signal
Arctic
Okay.
snow in this
Okay,
area.
go.
Can we
Wait,
like
what?
pause?
Wait, what? Wait, what's going on? Oh no.
Send
Oh, that
it.
looks bad. That looks bad. That looks
Yeah, just
bad.
send it. Send it.
Oh,
send it,
God.
send it.
Oh, God.
Ah!
Oh god.
Send it,
Oh,
send it,
God,
send it, send it.
oh, God, oh, God.
Ah!
Wait, we're still alive.
Oh, we're good.
How is it alive?
Oh,
The water broke our fall.
This ain't no normal field trip, what is this?
fucking RP
Fixable.
is in tatters.
Oh. What happened to the toilet? Is it good? Because I'm missing that entire wall. So.
What
Is
kind of
everything
field
okay?
trip is this?
Fine.
This is so alright. I'll just take your word for
I don't
it.
think this is a normal field trip.
This is the
That's
most
fine.
normal field trip ever, guys. What do you mean?
Oh, scrap.
Oh, those bear traps. Do we need
This guy.
those?
Oh, we could have repaired, but it's fine.
What? Repair
I'm gonna
what
get the
exactly? Repair what
I
exactly?
have no wing mirrors.
Oh,
No,
sorry,
we're
sorry,
repairing the
sorry,
scrap
sorry,
that's like
sorry.
right there.
Oh my god, it's literally just a skeleton. And I got nuggies. Hell yeah.
Yo.
Where's the scrap?
Antidote. I need to.
We need to fix
stab
the
myself.
tires before they fall off as well.
What is that? Oh, it's a hat.
Wait, where's the scrap?
Oh my God,
What if I
guys.
fucking do?
Oh,
Yo!
shit, melon.
Oh.
There's, oh my
So I
God,
think
there's masks
They
here.
think Stinky's up on the bridge looking at us.
Wait, what?
So,
Wait, where's Stink? Oh my God,
Johnson.
Stink is over there. Stink is aura farming.
Can't believe Stick aura farming on us. What?
Oh my fucking god, that's brilliant.
Oh my god, it's the Emperor's missing clothes.
The Emperor's missing clothes? What? He got a new groove and then couldn't stop
Wait, what the
using his
hell happened
clothes.
Don't worry about it.
Ow,
Don't
ow,
worry
god,
about it.
oh god, I got hit. Ow, ow.
We just made it more aerodynamic.
Okay,
Better
I don't have
ventilation,
any more
please.
left.
No, that's fine.
Especially for
We have ventilation. Scrap. Okay, hey, can I get
You're
in?
gonna stink, let me throw you
Hey,
in.
hey, game, can I get in? Thank you.
You still missed.
Game does not want you in.
Alright.
Go wheel.
Oh,
Alright.
There
It's
we
going
go.
to be interesting doing this
Everybody
jump
in.
again.
No, a bit.
Just got to full send it.
Just
Yep.
Who's in the toilet?
Everybody in.
fix that.
Everybody
Alright,
in.
I'm in.
These tunes are whack.
I don't think this is a
Yeah.
I don't think these are tunes. This is an audio book.
feels like story time.
I got fucking.
Anyone got some better stories to tell on this journey?
We could sing the wheels on the bus.
Wheels on the bus go
Go round and round,
Round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round
all day
all
long.
day long.
The bears on the
What's the
trip.
next
Go
verse?
squish, squish, squish. No? Okay.
Squish, squish, squish.
I don't know
Squish,
the other
squish.
lyrics. I was only told that one. Oh god.
Oh god,
Oh,
not
good.
again! Not
Hey.
again!
Hey.
Oh, we did it.
Get in there.
Lads, lads, lads.
Wait.
Lads. Lads, lads,
Way.
lads.
Don't want to alarm
Is
you, but there is a
everybody
fair-
still
Bear, bear, bear,
your
bear,
lorry.
bear,
On
bear,
your
bear,
Oh god. Oh god. Speaking
Come
of
at
this
me,
song, I
yeah.
saw a post on how on Twitter,
Very-
how
God.
someone got copyrighted.
Very
Yeah,
nice to
the
meet you.
song's
Question mark.
copyrighted.
Fucking hell. What? No way!
What song? What's
Yeah,
on the
Wheels
bus?
on the Bus is copyrighted for some
No
reason.
way.
No fucking
Alright, we
way!
need a bridge.
No shot. You need a bridge.
there is a
Right,
bridge.
Apparently
Changes.
all the nursery
What do we
rhyme
need?
songs are copyrighted.
I got
There
it.
is a
I got
bear.
you. I got you.
Oh,
what?
Oh, God.
don't break
We
out,
got
I'll
best friend. Oh,
fight
there's two
it.
bears. There's two bears.
We'll fight it.
Oh!
There's
Oh!
I'm fighting them.
Fucking hell! Fucking hell!
Oh, God.
Fucking hell!
Oh, God.
Fucking hell!
Oh, God.
Fucking hell! Fucking hell!
Hey,
Where's
it's
it?
alright.
Where's it?
Oh, no.
Where's it? Where's it?
No, it's running off.
Intimidate it with a smoke.
Where's the bear? Hey.
Right, I've got one there.
No, that didn't work.
Well, I'm
Hold on.
stuck, so...
That didn't work. I think these winches are. Oh, we got traps. Oh, that's scrap metal. Don't worry.
Laura, turn it around.
Here.
Can I just collect these?
doing
Oh, I
it.
have
I've
no
got
idea
to
what
try
these
and unfuck this.
Oh. Oh.
Wait,
do. Is that
Wait, do
fucking
we have
audiobook
nails?
still going?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wait,
it
do we?
out.
Oh, it finished. Speaking of which,
Sorry,
it
I'm
just
like-
finished.
Hey, one down. I got one. I got one. I got one.
No, I changed it.
Oh, thank God. Thank you.
Okay, that's that done.
We're s-
No problem.
Where's that other...
You right?
Yeah, I'm all good.
The stream
Oh.
gets cancelled. You know what? Oh, our
Oh, shit, we-
Okay, so no one's driving.
Oh, who
Yeah,
needs
no, I'm
drivers?
recovering it.
The winch.
I'm just driving a skeleton of a van now.
Anything around?
Ba-na-na-na-na-na.
Bare bones. Bare bones car.
Are you
Right,
serious,
I'll
guys?
just go
Oh wait,
like
no,
that.
we can't pick this up.
What?
I saw like these large
Burn.
floorboards about down there, and I was like, why can't we just pick them up?
Fuck.
What is going on with?
They're too short.
I'm trying
They're
to get
too
us out of
short.
this, but it's...
Yeah, but you're
Why is it
stuck
going
on
this
the
way?
rear winch.
Stink, what are you doing?
Let's stay.
Nothing.
Yeah, they're too short.
Yeah, they're too short.
You should be good to go back. They took off the winch.
Guys, I think Stink
Right.
stole a tire.
Here we go.
What?
Stink?
We just need to get over this
Wait,
first
wait.
What?
Oh,
I
wait,
just
there we go.
saw I just saw Stink carrying a tire and glitching around, and it's now starting to fly.
Oh,
Okay, we have our
Stink
time.
Where's
learned
he
how to
gone?
fly.
where's Stink gone?
Come back.
So if we
this
see like a random dwarf like levitating in the air,
We'll know what that is.
I think
Come
we
on, then.
know. Yeah.
Well, he's gone.
Oh. No, it's good. Okay.
Okay.
You
Oh,
are
ads are
back
running.
wheels
That's
off.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
Wait, do you think
Back wheels
I
are not on the ground.
Oh god. Oh god.
Okay,
Oh, God.
good news is I got the winch shot.
I'm not sure how this is gonna work, Chief.
He's just flying.
I can't see Stink anywhere.
We're gonna say this.
Come over here.
Source, trust us.
Come over to the cliff.
Okay.
Over here.
Alright.
Look at him go.
Oh my
Oh
god!
my god! What the hell?
He's beginning to believe.
Is it a bird? Is
What's
it a
going
plane? No, it's Stink.
Go.
Stinks glitching. Hold on, wait.
Stink is becoming.
Alright, stop.
Well, now we know. What do we call a magic bug?
Whoa! Nice.
There we go.
Oh my god, we're like fucking
W.
level 1
guess now we can go check out
RV
Sting.
noobs compared to the level 100
Resting?
fucking bird.
Oh shit.
Oh,
He ran out
no,
of steam.
shit.
He's dead. He's
Oh,
dead.
no.
Shit,
Oh,
he's
he's
Where is he?
hell.
Bear's
RIP.
back!
He's gone. He's
Oh.
lost. He's lost.
Let's see.
I hear a
Where is
bear.
he?
I hear a bear. I hear a bear.
There's
God,
a
man.
bear behind us.
Oh god. Oh god.
Oh
God.
Get out of there.
Get in!
No.
Get in.
Get
Get
me
in.
out here.
Get in.
No.
Get in, losers.
Just jump through the window. Jump through the
Just
window.
get in!
Get in!
Guys, don't worry.
I don't know why I decided to go for the door.
Yeah,
There is no door.
I went through the door as well.
Hi guys.
Oh,
Yeah, I ran around to go in the door like there was
Come
one.
on, come on, get in, get in. We got two coming
Oh,
hot.
who's not in?
I think we just ran that one over. I don't know
Oh,
who that
no.
was. I think we ran them over.
Just outrun it. Just outrun it.
Wow.
Oh, well, there goes the body.
Oh,
Someone.
What the
Oh, no.
fuck? Oh shit, we're still going.
Where did they go?
Do we need to retrieve the body?
I-
Oh, are they got? Have
accident-
they?
I threw the body into the ocean.
What?
So I was like running, holding the body, so I threw it.
Oh, what's going on? Oh no, I hear
What's going
screaming.
on?
I hear screaming. Oh, we got
Hey,
hey, checkpoint. Hey,
hey,
Hey!
we made it.
lovely.
Jesus.
Hold on.
Hey, is the moose alive?
Oh
Are
no,
you-
he's
Not
dead.
alive.
Oh, he's
Well, that's right, we did win it over.
Oh yeah, he's
Oh,
definitely
my
dead.
Moose.
Oh god.
Hello.
Every moose.
Three of
We
them.
got 3 mooses.
3 me's.
3 me's.
Oh,
Oh,
my
the sea has reclaimed
me's.
them. The sea has reclaimed them.
Yeah.
Alright, let's.
Yeah, it is.
That's why I don't. Oh god.
Hey guys, I got beer.
Oh, you got beer.
Coffee.
Oh, can
That's
I
my
have
seat.
one?
That's my
Another
seat.
beer?
Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
where's my coffee? Where's my coffee? I need coffee. I need coffee.
I have a coffee for myself. I don't. Is there another one?
Oh,
Yay,
I got
go.
coffee.
Can I really?
Wait.
Wait, where are we?
Okay.
I can't function without a cold brewski.
There we go.
Oh, this is we are
Wherever I'm-
we are uncomfortably close to the water here.
Wherever
I
I'm-
gotta be honest.
My arms
We're
got
on the water.
I don't like
This is why we
this.
don't achieve flight, kids. My arms got
This
tired.
is why we don't. You see, this is why penguins don't fly as well.
Exactly.
Keep
Or
going.
chickens.
Don't stop.
Are we still going?
I'm sorry, what?
Are we across?
You know what I mean.
Let's go! Yeah!
Hey.
let's
Bye,
go!
Bye, bitch.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Oh, that's not good.
Wait for
That's not good.
Hi.
I went backwards and landed in a ditch.
I'm looking forward to
Godspeed,
seeing that
Sting.
clip.
07 stink.
Oh sevens in chat.
Wait, did we revive Stinker though?
07's in chat.
No. I don't think we did.
No, there was no
Okay.
revives.
Oh.
There's like 2 people dead.
No,
by the
Stink
way.
was alive when we left the last checkpoint.
Stink knows what.
Wait, I think you can do that. Yeah, you can do that. You got that.
You got it?
Yeah, we got
Oh, I think we hit
Oh,
that
fuck.
tree.
Oh.
I think we hit that tree back there. It doesn't look good.
No.
It doesn't look. I'm getting a
No,
face full of tree
never.
here. I'm getting a face full of tree here. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's fine.
Yeah, don't worry.
It's just
Yeah, what you on
airy.
about?
It's fresh.
fresh.
Smells like crisp
Nice
nature
breeze.
air.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
As I'm getting like
Smells
the
like a pine
biggest
tree.
drag from my cigarette. Oh, smell that fresh air. Lovely.
My coffee.
Why is there a sign
Oh
with a
god.
skull and
Oh, I
crossbones on
remember
it?
this bit. Right. Who's gonna go scout for landmines?
Landmines.
Don't worry about that.
Oh my god, I love scouting for landmines.
I mean, I can see one of them.
Oh.
Wait, where's what? Wait, where's the one?
There's
landmine?
landmines
I
here?
don't see a landmine.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a
look
rock.
to your right.
Oh,
There's a
I've
big
seen. I
red
found one.
button
I
on the
found
ground.
one. What do you
Yep.
do with a landmine when you found one?
You can drop a plank on them and that sets it off.
Oh, I hope my cigarette would do it, but it didn't. Hold on, let me throw a cigarette at it. Yeah, let me throw a lit object.
Probably
Oh no,
not
it didn't do
gonna
anything,
sound that
lads.
close,
There's one here,
Probably not, but what can you do?
but I don't know what to do about
Hey
it.
guys, I
that's
got
great.
more
but- Oh, that's good.
Is there like a plank up here or something?
The next checkpoint is
Hey,
just around
we
the
have
corner,
windows
so
again.
I reckon we just risk it.
I'm trying to find like if the there's a I'm trying to find like a plank or something. Planks, planks.
Just go drive relatively slow.
Hey! All right, we got
guys,
this.
Guys,
To the left, to
Bomb
the left.
squad here.
guys, yep, to the left, to the left.
It's okay. Bomb squad's here. Oh, did you go past it? Oh, fuck. All right. Well, never mind
Yeah, I
then.
went around it.
All right, never mind. Never mind. If you want to know, there was one there. I removed it. Don't worry. I know. I do too much for
remember
this
there
game.
are landmines in this elevator.
I got it.
Yeah, there's one here. That's
Oh, it didn't work.
Don't stand so close, 'cause that's gonna.
No, don't worry about
hey,
it.
hey guys, what happens if I just
I
know?
got it.
What
I got it. I got it. I got
happens
it.
if I just jump on it?
Yeah, just back up the
Hey!
There we
There
go.
we Huzzah!
Do we have
We
windows?
have to build this elevator, by the way.
Oh, do we? Okay,
got the
okay.
front
I got
glass.
this. I got this.
Wait,
Yeah,
how do
very
I
fast.
build an
we
elevator?
need. Put the planks down. Hold on.
Oh, teamwork makes the fucking dream
Oh,
work,
it's just
eh?
like Minecraft.
Crafting team.
Why? Okay. What if we?
Bro, what are you doing there?
Why is there a random
I'm just-
horizontal one when everything?
Wait, is there? Oh,
Wait, that's a random
hell?
There we go.
oh, safe as houses, that, isn't it? Oh, that
Well,
didn't work,
okay.
did it?
Why is it
Go try
always
again.
rotating?
Hey, could you like
Just put it down.
stay straight?
You got it?
Okay.
Yeah?
Hello.
No? Bad?
Oh,
Good.
wrong gate.
I think we're
knew I was
fine.
in-
Okay.
Well,
Who
we're about
needs that
fine.
extra
Okay.
plank? Who needs that
Okay.
extra plank,
Somebody,
you know?
somebody tell me when my wheels are on, because
Wait.
Wait, we're trying to. Oh,
Hello. That's good
Happy?
Come
enough.
on.
That's good enough.
Come on.
close enough.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, your
You
wheels
got it.
are. First two wheels are on.
First two are
Yeah.
on.
A little
Second
bit
two
more.
are on.
Wheels
Second
on.
Second two are on.
Everyone on board.
Alright, wheels are on.
Stop. We're good. We're good.
Right.
someone needs to press the button.
I know, I'm stood here.
Alright.
Oh, oh, oh,
Oh shit. Well.
oh. Oh,
We can go
yeah.
Go around.
We're down here now.
Let's go.
Way, we did
Is
it.
everybody up?
Nice.
Well,
Wait for us.
wait.
Alright, how's everyone else? Yeah. Oh, you can just walk.
Oh, you can just walk up there. Okay, cool, brilliant.
Oh
Just
right,
do a
there's no ladder.
small fix of the tires. 1
Okay.
second.
I'm gonna scout
Time
ahead,
to
see what's up
doomscroll
there.
on Twitter.com.
Right, everybody load up.
Who's fucking doom scrolling
Get
right
out my
now?
seat.
Enjoy nature.
Get out my seat.
Fine.
Get out my seat.
Whatever.
Enjoy
No.
it. Smell the fresh
Out my
air.
seat. I want to do
Oh,
this
you
bit.
did
Get out my seat. You did it last time.
Ooh, house.
Get out my seat.
I got a
Stood
meat
this there.
patty. I got a meat patty. What do you do with this?
Okay, all yours.
Thank
Welcome.
You can cook? Ayo, you can cook?
You guys can cook?
You guys can cook?
Apparently we can cook.
Oh, I see a fireplace.
Hey.
Yeah. I don't know how you do anything there, but yeah. Hellos.
Wait, what?
Let them cook.
Let them cook. Oh, all right. My cigarette did
cooking and
not
what
set
they're
that on
cooking?
fire.
Oh yeah, I need
Who's cooking and what you cooking?
Flint and steel.
Flint
Am I like it
and
with my cigarettes?
steel.
Oh, someone else's mixtape.
Hold on. All right, who's a vegan here?
I'm vegetarian. Is that all right?
No.
No.
Wow. Wow.
Oh my god, is that why I immediately died when I ate one the other?
On a fundamental level, no.
Here, look. If you want to see,
Joking.
if you want to see the consequences of eating raw, here.
Oh my god, that's what happened to me. That's what happened to me.
Wait, I'm still alive. for
Y'all
some
get
reason.
it!
Yo.
You got down with it.
Can I cook this coffee cup?
Yo, guys, I got lesson 2.
Oh, God.
Oh
Hey.
my
Oh
god.
no.
We got chapter 2 of our
Chickens
own.
up there.
Everybody,
Okay.
No, it's
we need
Gyro
to repair
Zeppelin's
the van as
trick
much as
lesson
possible,
two in
otherwise we're not
learning
surviving
the
this next
balls.
bit.
We have no more scrap.
We're gonna-
Okay.
got
Okay,
no more
well we
scrap.
might not survive
We're
this
gonna
next
learn
bit.
spin.
Everybody buckle in.
Oh!
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm bringing the
nobody's sitting
grill.
up front.
I'm bringing the grill.
Is
I
nobody
hope that's
seriously
all right.
sitting up front? Is it just me? Okay, there we go.
Aw.
What the f-
Okay.
Oh my goodness me.
Oh,
Put it-
That looks a
put it
bit
straight into
sheer where
fifth.
I'm from. That looks a bit sheer where I'm
Oh.
from. What's going
Wait,
on?
hold on. There's something here. Wait, guys, there's a melon hat here.
What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Oh,
Oh,
my god.
um,
Oh
yeah.
god.
That's
wait,
what
can
we
we
did.
just
What?
play like
Strapping.
Happy Wheel? Oh my god, it's literally just
We are
Happy
doing
Wheels.
It's Happy Wheels!
Is it actually?
We're playing Happy
It's
Wheels.
Happy Wheels. It's all Happy Wheels out there. It's
Oh my
Happy
god, it
Wheels
is
out there.
ramp. I thought it was a hole going down. No, it's a...
No.
Okay.
Oh my
no.
god, guys, it's a ramp.
Dan,
we can use
Dan,
these as ramps.
We can use
You've
these
been
as
up front
ramps.
before. Switch someone else.
Alright.
Let's not use the
somebody
ramp
else,
up there.
somebody else gets the front seat. Somebody else
Oh,
gets to watch
I'll
the
take it.
impending doom.
who I want
Here we
to
go.
Yeah,
you
I
gotta
watch
get
your
front
impending
row.
doom. It's all,
Oh,
it's all
God.
Happy Wheels. Always has been.
Oh, we're fucked. I don't like
We're
the
all
angle we
down on the
approach
happy
that.
in our wheels.
Oh god!
Guys, put your hands up.
Hands up, guys.
Here we go.
Oh
Ooh.
my god, we
Oh my God,
barely
we
lived. Barely lived.
Wow,
Alright,
we
alright,
made it.
stop.
Wait, where are you going? Oh.
Fuck! Oh fuck, we were so close, chat. We were so close. Oh, we're all the way back here. Oh, are you
Oh my
fucking
God,
with
that was
me?
amazing.
Are you fucking with me?
What
We're all
did
the
you
way
even
back
hit?
here.
I think I hit like a pebble on the ground. And just killed it.
Oh
The
my
van just
fucking
conked
god.
out.
Oh fucking
Right,
hell.
somebody
look.
else gets to drive because my tea's about to be here.
Thank you.
I'm hungry.
Ooh,
Somebody else can drive.
not me.
Bloody hell. Oh, so good.
Oh, that was so fucking funny. Alright, I've got a...
Right, somebody needs to get out
Peg.
and wind the wheel.
Oh, can I wind the wheel?
Where's the wheel?
I've like done shit all.
It's on our left.
I got it.
Oh, you got it? Oh,
So what's everyone been up to today?
I was working until literally the start of the collab.
You
I
do
went-
retail or shift work?
No, I'm.
Oh shit, oh shit.
I have
oh
a regular
shit, oh
like
shit.
shift pattern, but it's Wednesday to Saturday. It's not the
I'm a soggy fox.
Ah, right.
normal
right.
Monday to Friday.
God, that's wait up.
Fair enough.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
I do not envy you.
Oh
I mean,
fuck, I
Ford-
was muted that entire time again. Fucking hell.
I mean, yeah, I'd like 4 days a week, but I'd like my Saturdays.
Can you help me up here? Thank you.
There you go.
Oh,
What about everybody else? What's
Yeah, it's a
everybody else been
trade-off,
doing?
but
who am I beating
I
with a
kinda
hammer
do.
at the moment?
Oh shit!
Ow! Me! Ow! Have we got everyone?
Oh shit! I fell out.
Mute
forgot.
check. Is everyone talking knows if they're muted or not?
Yeah, when you
We're
gonna
die or when we
Because there's
reset,
certain
you
specific
have to press
voices that
V
I
again.
can't hear.
The voices, they've gone quiet.
I know. I need to check all the voices in my head.
Oh my god, I love listening to voices.
Wait, where's Sting?
Oh god, who knows?
What is this?
With the
It's
forest
behind
now.
us.
One with the trees.
Yeah,
Right
yeah,
behind
where is
us.
Stapes?
I'm under the
Right
wheel.
behind us.
Oh, he's
Oh! I'm under the wheel!
Oh dear. Oh fucking hell.
Behind us, under
I'm a
us,
bug being
all of the
under one or
above.
other.
Under us? Wait.
Oh.
Under us, over us.
Wait up, more voices.
Wobbling freak. Alright, nice one. Nice one.
Nice. Why is the van already about to die?
I feel like through sheer name alone we should let
Because
Dilo
the previous
drive more
checkpoint we were
often.
about to die.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't
Mhm.
it doesn't respond with new health.
Now, don't forget, there's a landmine.
I got it, I got it, I got it,
Oh.
I got it.
Oh, that's why.
Ogyon the bomb squad.
Bomb squad's
boy-
here.
Alright.
Bomb squad's here. Right.
Alright.
It looks like you got a fucking bomb here, right? Right.
Wait,
You
there's
got
a mine here. I got this.
Oh god, you almost
know what?
jumped on that. Hold on, hold on.
Ha! Made you flinch.
Oh, ho, ho. Alright, alright,
got
go on. Ah, fucking hell. Alright, we got this, we got this, we got this, we got
Fine.
this.
There's this professional
Oh,
bomb
no,
squad.
no, wait.
You know you can
Right,
spin
we got the
channel.
fucking bomb squad here. Right? Yeah, go
Yeah.
on, go on. Oh, close
Aim,
one,
aim.
close one. That was real close. That was real close.
Yeah.
You spin me.
Oh, no,
right
no,
down,
no, come on.
right down like a wicked thing.
Oh,
Did they die? Oh god. Hello?
Ah, you played with it too much.
Another
Look at
successful job from the
Oh.
bomb squad. Another
Another
successful.
successful bomb defusal.
We did it, lads.
Yeah.
We did it.
Bomb squad.
Successful defusal.
Oh, we did it. Don't worry
Great
about
job,
us.
gang. Let's go do the other one.
All right. All right, there it is. Right, there's some planks over it. We'll use these planks.
Alright, yeah, we use these
Right.
planks as ramps.
There you go. Boom.
Alright,
Job's a good one.
one down.
All right, got that one? Got that one?
If it isn't doing it.
No, no, don't worry. It's all right. It's all right.
Sorry.
I got it.
Almost.
Hey, job's a good
Oh.
one.
Alright, bomb defused.
Hey,
Bomb defused. Counter-terrorists win. All right, there you go.
Successful without
Hello?
any
Counter-terrorists
casualties.
win.
No casualties whatsoever.
Bomb defuse. Counter terrorist win.
All right. Boom. Immediate.
That was
Oh
actually
my god, we're
fantastic.
speed
Mine.
running. We're
Thank-
fucking speed running this left. All right. All right.
Alright. Yep,
Okay.
you're on.
Whoever's not here, I'm just gonna go around. I'm just gonna automatically.
Here we go. Oh, it's a bit juddery, isn't it? Fucking hell.
Yeah, it's very sketchy.
That's so
juddery,
fucking
innit?
scat. It's a bit juddery, isn't it?
Oh god.
Gets worse.
Not so sure about that one.
For me.
We're only going up to the cabin. There's
I
a
haven't the
hole.
foggiest what you mean.
Huh? What?
All right, let's get
Nothing.
these.
I can't forget
coffee.
lesson 2. We need lesson 2.
No, we don't
We
need lesson
really
2.
don't. We really don't lead lesson 2. I don't know about you, but I haven't been listening to a word they've been saying.
Hey,
Are
you
we
can't go wrong with an
okay?
Aussie.
To be fair, it gets good, these tapes.
It
You go on
gets
a
good.
wild journey.
What do you
You go
mean?
on a
It's like,
wild journey.
Yeah, they get.
oh no, lads, wait until it gets to the tournament arc. Yeah, it really
Oh
pops
my
off
God, I'm
then.
holding-
Alright. I'm gonna drop my dinner all over the
Wait,
floor.
let me
I'm
get
not
in there.
careful.
I just
Oh,
hear
no.
fucking a knife and fork.
Just
I am,
plates, clink clacking.
Who's
Clank.
eating?
Me.
Ah, don't worry, we got a
Oh, yeah,
three-course
guys.
dinner here. It's fine.
Guys, have
W.
you guys seen like the Scientology videos that's been roaming around?
Yeah.
and then like speedrunning. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
like oh my days. Did you know
They're
someone's
they
planning
actually
to
like
create
they
a
have
Hello
it fully
Neighbor
like
mod?
mapped out.
No,
They
someone's
actually
making a
have it
Hello
mapped out
Neighbor
now.
mod.
It's crazy.
That is so fucking
Don't
funny.
forget Stink. Don't forget
Hello
Stink.
neighbor mod of the
Wait, Stink.
Scientology people.
Well, wait, where's Sting? Where's Sting?
Yeah.
Oh, don't forget
There's
Sting.
literally a
Think
whole
of
map.
it, it's scripted.
That is so funny, actually.
Way. I mean, hey, no, it's valid. Have
Oh,
you seen like
okay.
every single time I see a video,
Yeah.
it'll just be someone else. Oh, everyone here? Okay.
We here?
It'll just be someone else posting in the comments the more mapped out version, and I'm like, oh my god, they're like fully.
Like
Getting
seriously,
the entire
okay,
building
first
mapped
we
out.
had like Hello Neighbor music,
Beacon,
then
that's
Persona 3, then Persona 5, and then Pizza Tower.
No.
That's fucking good. That's so good.
There's like so
Persona
many
into pizza.
musics.
Alright, is everyone on board?
I'm
Yes.
here. I'm here.
Minecraft
Oh,
recreation.
Minions.
What?
Oh god. Oh god,
Wait,
I'm
did
getting
you
a
know
really
that there's-
scary view. I'm getting such a scary view at this. Oh my god.
Did
Yeah.
you know, that I think there's the
Oh.
minions are planning to
Oh.
invade as well.
Oh no.
Oh god.
Hey.
Oh.
Both.
Hey.
That's okay.
Lads,
Just a
lads,
scratch.
lads.
Hey.
Alright, let's go. Alright, do
Don't
not.
hit.
Do not. Do get it in there one piece,
Yeah,
please.
so
I do not
apparently
want
the
to do that
minions
again.
are also trying to break in.
Hey, chapter
Yeah.
4. Well done, lads.
Like the main one, apparently.
Well done.
Well done.
Fuck.
Nice one.
We made it
Oh,
in one piece.
One piece.
B, that is the truth.
Oh, is that another tape? Oh, we do not need that. Wait.
Wait, another tape?
No, 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 I'm taking the tape.
No,
We don't need to listen to the... No, no, get off me!
No, don't.
We don't need
back
these
here.
tapes. No, no, let me go, let me go. We do not need these
Yeah,
tapes.
I'll give you a beer for it. I'll give you a beer.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
2
fine, why not?
beers.
Oh, yeah, no, sign me the fuck up.
No. Big
What is this?
Okay, I don't
Oh,
have any
this
more.
is
Do we have
this
crap?
is just
I don't have
Arcade
any.
Universe. We want the lessons.
Look, if you want me to do the
Is
tape
the
for
scrap?
you, I
Does
can
the
do
be
the
get
tape,
shared
you know?
between?
Fucking hell.
Yes. Look, I
Oh,
can
Hey
do
guys,
the
I
tapes.
got.
Oh wow!
Is Steve running up with another wheel?
What?
No, not again.
That doesn't look correct. Someone
Okay.
is very much sitting...
Yellow, remember not to go
Oh.
off on the side
Ah.
path this time.
Alright.
We've done that path and it doesn't go well.
Who's getting
Mom
M
said go up
right
it and
now?
then back up. Then you told me to reverse down it last time.
Well, you weren't going to turn around.
Yeah, why am okay, guys? Why am I seeing a lot of pregnant men in the chat?
Hello.
Sorry.
Oh, this is Stinks chat. I'm not even
Stinks.
shocked.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It stinks, yeah.
That tracks. That
My
tracks.
truth is empreg and then just
Typical
pregnant men.
Stink.
That
You know
tracks.
what? That's typical Stink chat.
That actually tracks, actually. Don't worry about it.
I'm being silenced for my truth. You know
Oh,
what?
where is Sting?
Yeah, where is Stink? Hey, where's Stink?
Where is-
All of a sudden, we just start
I'm
seeing
a-
Stink.
He's
Beyond
gone.
He ran
Dr.
off with the tire.
Doofenshmirtz.
He ran off with the tire again. Yeah, is he not flying? Is he off flying
Is
again?
he off flying somewhere?
No, he's running off along the road.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
We just start hearing.
we go.
Dooba 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 dooba. I mean, he is a bug.
Yeah.
He is also
True.
going the wrong way.
I'm saying Stink should be pregnant.
Oh.
Huh?
What?
What? Huh? What the sigma?
What the Sigma?
I think we've lost our minds on this road trip. I think we've lost our
We
minds
didn't
on
have
this
any to begin with.
We didn't. Yeah,
have
we didn't have
to
mine to
begin
begin
with.
with.
that's fair enough, actually, yeah.
Chat is too crazy, really.
This is Murray's chat at the moment. Jesus.
Oh,
Do you mind? I'm trying to
uh,
eat my dinner.
No, we didn't need that.
Stop
Do we?
crashing.
Okay, alright.
No,
I
no,
just
no.
want to
Does it
check.
not just clip a wall?
No, surely we
ramp.
need that. Surely not. No.
That ramp is crazy.
Look at the view.
Holy shit.
All I can see is the camera doesn't turn with the van, so I'm
Yeah,
just like
your neck kind
staying
of
in the
breaks a
same.
bit.
I'm staring at
Oh
at
right,
the
yeah.
wall at the moment. Hold on, let me grab my mouse. Okay. I can now face you while I eat my dinner.
Wonderful.
If you want to get a full scale of the ramp, now is your time.
Oh yeah, there it is. If you look to your left,
Wow.
you will see the giant fucking
If you
ramp.
look. Okay, the door.
There we go, chat. That is a ramp and a half, innit?
Oh yeah, there we go. We having a
Wait,
look. Oh, we have. There we go.
Oh hell yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, we're all having a look.
Damn, that is
Well
a
done, lads.
lovely view.
Well done.
We're gonna
Damn.
do it again.
No, we're
That's a lot
not.
of
We're
ramp.
never doing that ever again.
Thank God.
Like, can we go down it again?
Game, can I get in? Thank you. Alright, door, set.
Didn't we do it first time when we did it?
Oh, we
Yeah,
did it. We did it
we
first
did
try
that.
both times. We just.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we did manage it. Just somebody drove into a tree.
We did it first try with the
No, I
aftermath.
drove into a pebble. Drove into a pebble. And the car
A
decided to
pebble,
blow.
much,
yeah.
much more noble and
Pebble
heroic.
and
Yeah,
quotation
thank
It's
you.
like that one thing. If you kick over a rock, the future changes.
Yeah, you travel to the past and you nudge a pebble, and all of a sudden. the
All of a
future
sudden,
is
you're
like,
female.
All of a sudden, stink.
Yeah.
Stinks
Whoa,
like
whoa. Pebble-based gender.
Pebble-based
I
you got
see a
this.
bear staring us down from that
Oh.
cliff.
Oh,
Relax, I got
No
this.
way.
We
I
have
know.
spray. We have spray.
Oh, yeah, there it
Where's
is.
spray? Where's spray?
Oh, we have
fuck.
spray? Oh, there it
I
is.
think.
Oh, that's
Let's
not
spray,
good.
let's spray.
Oh,
Oh
fuck.
my god! I think it's in the cabinet.
Oh, fucking hell.
Oh,
No,
what
never
happened?
mind.
Oh boy.
It's
Never mind.
coming. It's
Wait,
coming.
check one down there.
It might have
Get
been
the
in the
bear
other
spray.
OB.
Get the bear spray. We have a bottle
We don't
of it.
have any.
It's not in,
We
it's
don't
not
have
in the
any.
cabinet.
I thought
We
we
don't
did.
have any.
Is that bear coming for me? Oh, no, no, it's gone. It's gone. Don't worry, lad. It's
Alright,
gone.
give me a second, I've almost finished.
Okay.
God, that was terrifying, wasn't it?
Now I'm just going to find a place for this tray where I'm not going to stand in it.
No, you
I'm
can still
loving-
stand in it.
I'm fucking loving
Probably.
the miscellaneous
Um,
plate sounds. Oh, you didn't need that one, did you?
Snake.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
Yeah,
didn't
you
need that one.
Just
Don't
ceramic.
worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Oh god.
It's fine.
Oh my god.
That's thing.
Right, if
Oh.
I stand on that tray now,
I got you, I
I've
got
done
you.
something catastrophically wrong.
Still smoking even in my
Oh,
death.
no.
There you go.
Because I
There you go.
have put that
Get back
tray
in the fight,
on my bed,
soldier.
so if I stand on it, something's gone wrong.
Get the fuck
Right,
up.
we can get back in.
Get the fuck up,
Yeah.
samurai.
Wake the fuck up, soldier.
back
We
in.
got crimes
Wait.
to commit.
We've got an RV to get
pardon
to.
me.
I don't even know where we're going, actually.
Wait, I can get up this way.
Whoa!
Oh, never mind.
Alright.
Right, we're gonna
Someone.
go, we're gonna go
Ow!
this way.
Ow!
Oh
Snake!
god,
Snake!
what's
Snake!
biting me?
Snake!
Snake.
Snake.
Snake on the
Snake!
floor.
I've trapped. Ow! Oh, fuck!
Oh, there it is.
Snake.
There's a s-
Wait, can I do this?
There's a snake in our boots.
There we go.
Where's the snake?
You are.
It's here,
gonna
it's here.
fall off
I'm
the
looking
edge.
It's
at it.
next
There
to
it
you
is.
guys.
What the
You
fuck?
absolute
Oh, there's a
idiot.
hat. Oh, indicators. Okay.
How'd
cool.
you ping?
Middle
Hello,
click.
back up.
Ah.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
Now I request pudding.
Ow.
What do we have for? Oh God!
Nice.
I'm
There we go.
loving we're having a 3-course
Speed
meal
back.
while we're
Speed
doing
and
this.
Oh,
power.
running off!
Speed
Where's the-
wagon.
Oh,
I'm running
have we done
off.
it? Have we done it?
Speed and
Or
power.
do we need a
Oh,
bit?
done
Do we need
something.
another plank?
Trying to reset the winch.
Wait,
I reset it, I reset it.
just get ahead.
Right.
I embodied Jeremy Clarkson. Speed and power. Speed and power.
There we go.
Uh,
Whoa!
No,
God.
oh god.
Oh, that was close. That was
Oh,
close.
careful.
That was too close.
Don't get run over.
There's
That's
spray.
Ooh.
I'm trying not to.
Where's the snake?
Oh, there's a snake.
There's
I
a
hear
little
it.
snake.
Oh, there
I
it
can't
is.
see
Out of the
it.
way. Out of the way. Out of the way.
I can't see them, but I can hear them.
Yeah.
It's underneath the rock.
I need to
Oh my god, bear.
Oh, bear!
Oh, I fell out with that. Oh, I fell out.
God.
Oh, I
Tell him,
fell out.
get in!
Get out!
Oh, there we go.
Hold on.
Nice.
We've got bear spray somewhere.
Yeah, tell him!
Fight me!
Get
Fight
him!
me!
Oh.
Hey!
Incoming!
Incoming.
What?
Oh.
Oh.
What? What happened?
Well, they're dead.
I am dead.
Oh.
Again!
What is for... Or
Oh,
what
well.
do we have?
I'm
for
awake.
pudding? Question mark.
Can you get
I'm
me
laughing
some?
a bit.
Wait, what is that? Does anyone see that?
What's what?
Oh,
See
the
what?
thing
See
in
what?
front of us.
Oh, I think we need
Is
to go
that
up
rock
here,
or is
right?
that a box?
It's a rock, I think.
A box?
Maybe it's a
Oh
rock.
no, it's a rock. It's a rock.
rock.
It's a rocks.
It's a rock.
It's a rock.
No, Patrick. It's a rock.
Yeah, it's just a big fucking rock, mate. It's just a big fucking rock.
It's the rock! Wait, we left you behind.
Right, come on in. Come on through. Yep. Yeah, you
Slow and
good. You
steady.
good. Ooh, whoa, whoa.
Slow and
Imagine
we got
all of a
this.
sudden, Stink just
Man's
crashes
chocolate
on
cake
top
or
of us
ice
right
cream.
Oh, okay. We gotta move this rock. We gotta move this big rock in.
Ooh, I don't know.
How do we push that? Fucking hell. Do we winch it? Oh, do we
Okay.
winch it?
I need a second opinion.
Alright.
I have planks.
Pudding options. I've got ice cream. Chocolate cake.
I didn't think it was about your fucking pudding.
I go for ice cream.
Wait, where are you?
Ice cream? Okay, so we've got one
Ice
vote
cream.
for ice cream.
Oh, yeah. Fucking hell. Go ice
Two
cream.
votes for ice cream.
Yeah.
What about you? Hey,
Chat,
hey,
what the fuck is
Delo,
going on?
What should I have for pudding? Ice
We
cream
never
or
had
chocolate
control.
Chocolate.
Cake? Okay.
Yeah, chocolate
Choose one.
cake.
Chocolate cake?
Chocolate
okay. That's
cake.
now 2
Oh.
for 2.
Alright.
When I
We're
was
gonna-
a boy, I loved chocolate cake.
We are missing a
Wait,
person.
don't.
Anyone remember him? Like, he is such a great guy.
There we go. There we go.
We're missing a person.
We planked it. We planked it.
We are missing a person.
Wait, are we? Oh,
No.
shit. Are
Where's
we?
Dawn?
Are we?
Oh.
Where's Dawn?
Stink.
Oh, dear.
I mean, Stink is dead, I think. Dawn, on the other hand, no
I
idea
think
where,
Stink is
where,
very
where she
dead.
is.
Oh, dear. That's not good, is it?
I shall walk back and try and find Dawn.
Thank you.
Fall
I
into
think
the map, I
Dawn's
think.
down. Oh. Huh. Oh. If I knew it was that easy to throw that down the cliff, I would have done something.
Oh, I had to chug a beer to move it.
It just took a beer to move. Okay, well, that's fair enough.
Thank
No
Dawn's
notes.
dead.
No notes. Dawn is under the map. What? The fuck you mean Dawn
How did
is
she
under the
manage
map?
that?
Didn't know we were fucking no-clipping our way through here.
No
Oh,
clippings
how
of
am I
Normandy.
supposed to get my
What?
opinion on the debate now?
Oh,
Go on.
there is a
Wait.
there is a
If the
snake.
ghost,
There is
There's
a
a
snake
snake
on
on
the
it.
platform. There's a
if
snake
the
on the
ghost of
platform.
Dawn can hear,
Wait, there
Do
it
you
is.
have anything to
what
throw
do I
at
have
it?
for pudding? Chocolate cake
Oh
or
god, there
ice
it is.
cream?
Just go
Oh, wait, it
chocolate
fell
cake,
up.
my man.
If the ghost of Dawn.
Wait,
Get
there's
a
an there's an antidote.
Get a
Oh my
fucking-
god, Stink has actually fell on the map.
Oh dear.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
No, he is. He's literally clipped
Is this
in
game
there.
okay? It's the second time he's posted.
I don't think his game is right. Oh, we going down there? Oh, that's
we
so
got
much
this,
of a
we got
smarter
this.
idea,
Floor it,
innit?
floor it,
That's so
floor
much
it,
of a
floor it,
smarter
floor
idea.
it.
Oh,
Can
fucking hell.
anyone pick me up?
Oh, I got
need
you.
ibuprofen.
I got you. I got you.
I
I got
need
you.
help.
There's like a revive
Oh.
down here as well.
Oh, lads, I died again.
Did we all die?
A snake kind of got me.
Oh my god, we're all knocked.
Oh, oh, I see the snake. I see that
Oh, wait,
fucker
wait,
right
look,
there.
Ghost of Dawn, I know
You
you're
up?
there. Chocolate
Save
cake
me.
or ice cream?
Say, there's a snake right there. I'll have you know. There's a snake right there. Just want to let you know. All right.
Got it.
Oh, thank you. My
I
life.
got you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hog is now
No,
alive again.
but I'm watching the stream.
I am alive.
So
What?
there's a few seconds delay.
Ice cream.
Is the only person we're missing Stink? I feel like we're missing one more.
I hear someone.
Where's Mura?
Stink and Dawn, that's the only ones we're missing, I think.
Ice cream. Got it.
I
right,
hear
cool.
someone, but
shall
I
put
don't.
the order in.
I
Wait,
hear someone
do we
through
still
an
have them
echo.
poles?
I think we might have one on the roof. Let me check.
Might stick it on a wall or something, I think.
I hear someone,
get up.
but I don't see someone.
Actually,
I
no, you
can't
know
get
what?
up.
I have got the far better idea. Why don't I have both chocolate cake
I have
and
both.
ice cream?
That's not a bad shout, actually. It's not a bad shout.
That is
Pop it
Let
down
me
here.
see how far I can
warm
go.
chocolate cake, though.
Okay, this is the furthest I can go.
Alright.
The ice cream
Stick it in
or
that.
chocolate
Oh,
cake?
yeah. that one.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Slightly late. Ghost of Dawn.
Was that
Put
Dawn?
chocolate
custard.
cake on the ice cream.
Oh, I can hear Dawn through the stream through your VoIP. Okay. This is very confusing. My audio processing is like going into overdrive here. No one's driving that. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay. Well, I'll allow it.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's fine.
I have the stream
Dawn,
like I have
I can hear
Dawn's
you.
stream open.
I
So
can
I
hear
might
you,
just
Dawn.
mute the volume because it's coming through twice. Sorry, Dawn.
Ghost of Dawn, what is your wisdom before you go from us? Before you leave us?
Right, so let me take the winch control. I'll get in and.
Well, I'm so busy. I didn't fill up that. It was crazy.
Dawn, we can only hear you through my mic.
Where to pop?
Because I've got your stream unmuted.
Oh, okay. Reset.
Dawn says the
Yeah?
wisdom of the Dawn is steal tires and fly.
Oh, that easy,
That
eh?
is her wisdom.
Yeah?
think
That
we-
easy.
we-
Alright.
Can we attach to a
Do,
tree? in
wait,
front
do
of
we go left or
No, we don't.
forward?
Okay. Good
I
question.
don't know. Somebody
I don't
use
think we have
some
anything
look
to
at the map.
attach on.
Oh, we go forward. We go
We go
forward.
forward. Alright. Hold on. I got a tree. Oh no, we're too far away from the tree. Have we got a peg?
Yeah, we don't have another.
I see the
pole.
next checkpoint on,
I see the
on the plus
checkpoint though.
side.
Maybe I can run
You got-
down.
you got-
Maybe there is one.
No, you
got
need a
peg?
van, I think.
Oh,
Wait,
dear.
wait, Oggy, what happens
Yeah?
if I just like...
Oh,
hold-
oh. Go
okay,
on.
I'm gonna try and throw you.
Go on.
Check is there.
No, no, give that a try again. You got this. You got this.
Alright,
Come on.
we guys.
Oh no! Oh, I almost had that. It said green. It had green on it. It had green on it.
Ice
All right,
or
go,
cone?
go, go.
Oh.
No, no, try that again. Yes, I got it. I did it. I did it. I did it. Fuck yeah! Go, 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 go.
Let's go.
And a cone?
That is
Genius
so fucking
ideas.
funny. IQ 5 billion over here.
Wait, what did you just do?
We winched it to a tree. We're winched to a tree. Wait, who's got the winch control?
then.
Who's got the winch control?
Slight pudding update.
Oh, please
who has
tell
the
me.
winch
The
control?
ice cream isn't scoopable ice cream, it's like cones. So I'm having hopefully a cone and chocolate cake.
Wait, where's the controller?
Your
No, I want ice
Saturdays.
cream. Yeah, where is the?
I know.
Where's the controller?
Did we drop it?
Did we?
Um,
Did I? Wait,
I think we've lost the winch control.
we lost the winch.
Yeah,
gu-
like a-
oh come on! It must be in the
Like a
RV, isn't it?
unicorn. I was just gonna say.
No, we got it. We got it.
Oh,
you.
found it.
Move it.
All right, it's been
Oh.
found. It's been found. It's been found.
Hey, okay.
This is
Hey.
really weird.
It was
I'm
all the way
talking to
down here.
You
Oh.
through the stream, but everything I say has like a 5-10 second delay for your response.
Oh my god, this is the absolute state of this. Hello,
Okay,
people in chat. How are you doing? You right?
Someone. Yep. Okay, let me put this
Everyone get
back
in.
so we don't
Oh, okay.
get it again.
Oh, I've
Get
had a
in
mess.
the van.
Had a message about
Go,
pudding.
go, 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 go.
Alright, I'm gonna
I'll
spin
be up
now.
shortly. Yes. Success.
Is
Mission
everyone on
complete.
board?
Hold on, I'm
One-
talking about pudding.
Hold on, hold on.
Hey!
Hold on, we got pudding over
Wait,
here.
we're leaving someone.
Yay, you're leaving. Pudding. Alright, there we
Pudding
go.
has
His
been
nickname is
ordered
Pudding,
and will be
okay.
delivered shortly. I'm having a cone and ice cream, a cone and chocolate cake. 'cause you got scoop.
Hey! Checkpoint 5. That's brilliant.
Alright,
Mom
I'm
just
gonna
got possessed
resurrect
there.
Simon.
That's alright.
Come on,
Got
let's
possessed
go
by my
resurrect
partner.
them.
Alright, resurrect.
Stink.
I
Oh, this
did
is
not
not
make
where-
revive Dawn.
Everybody alive?
Wait,
Right.
where are you going, Stink?
Where's Stink
not
going?
going.
No.
I think we need to babysit
Hold on
Stink.
to him.
Yeah.
I think
Is there
we
a
need to
leash?
attach like a big rock to Stink just to keep them
Can we
down.
get one of those
Wait.
like?
Don't worry, if
One of
I
those, like,
keep
I'm
hold
bored.
on
Stink.
Stink.
Keep me down like this.
You alive?
Yeah, you just hold
Yeah.
on.
Is Dawn alive yet?
Yeah, I'm just gonna
Dawn.
hold on to Stink.
Dawn.
I think I ended up at either behind or another checkpoint entirely.
Oh my god.
I don't
Missed
think
Dawn.
we can revive Dawn.
Why
What
not?
happened to Dawn?
What happened to Dawn?
Dawn might have to leave
They're
and
like
then rejoin.
under the map. Where the
I think
big
we have to
rock
get to the next checkpoint to revive Dawn.
Oh dear. That's not good.
Bye, Dawn.
Bye, Dawn.
Wait.
Don't worry, Ghost of Dawn. We will.
We will remember you.
Don't worry, Ghost of Dawn. We will help you.
We'll remember you.
Just wait till the next checkpoint, if you can.
Yeah, we plan to. Don't worry.
Wow.
Wow.
Right, Stink. You stay here.
Stink in the bog. Stinks in the bog.
Just gonna
Right.
stare at Stink.
Right, is Dawn
I got
actually
my
leaving
eye
and
on
rejoin?
you.
I genuinely
Dawn.
don't.
Hold on, I'll ask.
Alright.
Dawn, are you leaving and Oh no, she's over here, isn't she?
Oh, shit.
Dawn, are you leaving and rejoining, or are we waiting till the next checkpoint?
I was just talking
Yeah,
to the
mine's
grave. We're just talking to the grave.
I didn't know you can speak to the dead.
I see dead people. That's all it is. You can see dead people.
She's leaving and rejoining.
Yes.
If I knew we were gonna do this, I would have changed my fucking category to phasmophobia.
Oh my
Look,
god.
I'm just in tune with the dead people. It's fine.
It's like that
Perfect.
one meme where it's like
Perfectly normal.
Phasmophobia in a nutshell, and it's just Bryn's Got Talent.
Bryn's got talent, yeah.
Hello! How are you? How old are you?
Oh
Where
god.
are you from?
How did you die?
Nailed it.
What kind of ghost
No,
are
no.
Hey,
you?
Dawn's back.
Hey!
Why is this
Hey, what's
recording
up,
on
Dawn?
again?
Wait, what?
Hello.
Hello.
Guys, I don't even know what happened. I was like, I got hit by the truck, and then all of a sudden I was falling.
Indefinitely.
Wow.
Oh, I've got live Dawn back. I've not got
Okay,
slightly
so
delayed Dawn.
where do we go now?
Is that what it looks like?
Yeah, I'm
Are you
going
on
over
the
the
lane?
lane.
Ominous looking cave.
Ominous looking
Oh,
cave.
oh no,
Right,
it's
yeah.
this bit. Oh no.
Oh, there.
We're going
okay.
into the Minecraft
Oh,
cave.
we're going into a cave.
Oh no, it's worse.
Oh.
It's worse.
Diamond.
Right, everyone
We're
in.
gonna find diamonds.
I'll let somebody else take the front seat.
Dawn,
Bagsy.
you're a little
Wait, if
bit
I can
late.
actually get in. I can't get in, lads. Oh,
Come on.
this is.
Come
Oh,
on.
thank you.
I'll chill in the back.
Wait, I'm gonna get Bagsy. Ha.
Everybody else here? Everybody here? Yeah. Cool.
In present.
Stink's still in the
let's go.
bathroom.
God,
Yeah.
Dilo, you look so fucking cool with
Of
those
course.
fucking glasses on with the cigarette in your mouth. God damn.
Epicness.
No safer hands, honestly.
Professional driver here.
Good lord.
Yeah, let's not talk about that, shall we? We're in
You
polite
shut up.
company.
I will throw you off this man.
Of course. Yeah. Hey. Wow.
It's very foggy in
See
here.
the white light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I didn't think we were supposed to go in there. Oh. Oh, is that
Oh.
on fire? Are we on, is everything on fire? Oh my
It
god,
may.
everything's on fire.
Ow.
Oh, that's not
Why
good.
is
worry
there a forest
about
fire?
That's not good.
Because
That's real
somebody
bad.
had a barbecue and they weren't meant to have a barbecue.
I didn't do
Oh.
anything.
Of
this time,
course
but-
they did.
Oh.
Into the fire.
Well, if anyone asked
The
it wasn't
ring.
Yeah, I like
Firewatch.
this story.
We're now playing Firewatch, ladies and gentlemen.
No, we're in the
Car.
Oh my god, is
Ring
this
of
what happens
fire.
when Guy Fawkes gets unlimited rain?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I played Firewatch, so I know all about this.
Oh, well, you
Well,
should
your
then.
first challenge then, Og. Put the fire out.
Oh, what? Oh,
Fire
God.
Force Department, let's
Alright,
go.
Fire Force Department. Alright, here. What
Let's
we got here? Who are?
go.
What we
We're
got
playing
here?
Fire
What we
Force.
got?
I'll be Shinra.
There
Ow.
we go. Alright, Bob's your uncle. There you go. Fire's out.
What is this?
Do we need an extra plank? Oh, I'm stuck in
It's
here.
this
Okay.
very oddly thick foam.
It's,
Oddly
don't worry,
thick
it's,
Yeah, why is the phone so...
It's safe to ingest, it's fine.
It's fine. Just
Is
fine.
it?
All I'm saying is the
Scrannable
foam
foam.
looks like a
Can
very
I test
sus substance. That's all I'm saying.
What?
It does
Exactly.
not.
Safe to
Get your
ingest.
mind out the gutter.
No, it doesn't.
It looks more like fluff. Like,
What do you think it looked like?
Yeah.
Look like
I don't
it.
know what you guys are thinking about.
Look, we need
I'm
to
thinking
maintain a
about curdled
professional
milk.
attitude at the fire squad, right? We need to maintain a professional attitude.
I was talking
Yeah,
about
curdled
curdled milk. I don't know where you guys were going.
Mmm.
how, okay,
I'm thinking more
firstly,
like shaving foam.
the firewood was burning. I put it out, so how come it's not charcoal?
It's
We
that good.
don't talk
This
about it.
this
Don't talk about
fire
it.
extinguisher's that good.
Oh my god,
This is
guys,
the
I
type that doesn't
found,
burn.
guys, I found oil.
You found oil.
I found
Oh
lotion.
God! Don't tell the
Oh,
Americans.
Oil?
We've struck it. We're rich.
Get shot. Oh god.
We're rich, baby.
I found lotion.
Name.
Yep.
Man found lotion.
The Americans are going to join our game right now and steal it from us.
Exactly.
All right, no fire down
Wait
here.
up.
Don't
Guys,
fire
I
down
found-
here.
America, fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Coming
America.
again to say the motherfucking yeah.
Right, no fire. No fire yet. No fire.
Bonk, bonk.
Slight fire over there.
Hi, guys.
It's alright. It's
Hi
alright.
guys.
No fire there.
Resting.
Don't mind me, I'm chain smoking whilst bee hopping.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. I
I'm
didn't
playing
forgot. I
CSGO.
forgot. Let's go. Oh no, that fire's fine.
Hold
Don't
on,
worry about that
hold on.
fire. Don't worry about that fire. That's fine. That's fine. That fire's fine. That fire's fine.
Wait, how come we're not taking down?
Well, I love.
Wait, we're 6 miles away.
Are we?
Hey?
Wait,
Oh,
are we nearly
God.
What
there?
did I miss?
Is that a lot in this game?
Careful.
I think you've got a
Oh,
bomb.
just squash me.
Get out the
You're gonna
way!
squash me.
Wait, did I?
Oh.
Sorry.
Hey!
Huzzah!
Ow.
Hello.
Okay,
Let's
so I went
go!
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, no one's dead.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
actually made it through with
We
no
did
one
it.
dying.
Wait, who's
Congratulations,
dying?
well done, guys.
I feel like that part was like a bit too easy.
Yeah, that part was easy. For,
is
for
It's
something.
because
Ow.
of what's coming next.
Sorry.
What do you
Let's
mean? What's
see.
coming next?
Don't worry about it.
Oh.
I'd like to.
Where do we even go next?
Just don't worry about it, guys.
Andy.
It's going to be fine, alright?
Look,
Listen to me when I
I've-
say it's going to be absolutely fine.
I've got a fire extinguisher,
Let
so
me
I'll
have
be
some
right.
beer stink.
You might get a little singed, but you'll be
What?
fine.
Oh no, I've still got fire extinguisher. I'll be alright. I'll be alright. Don't worry about it. Ow. It's okay. RV just reversed
Why
into me.
run you
It's
over
alright.
again, Stick?
Yeah, it's just a little bit. It's alright. Oh, did.
Oh.
Just,
Okay.
Let me just cool
time
you
to go.
off,
What?
Stink.
No playing with
Let me
the
just
toys.
cool you off.
I don't know how long these take.
No, I did not. No, come.
Yeah, I am pro. I am.
Stink is covered.
It's a snow stick. It's a snow bug.
What are you doing?
Oh my god, yeah, we can make snowmans.
Oh.
No. Bad Dawn. Put the fire down.
Thank you.
Come on. Put the tool
No,
down.
There we
no,
go.
no,
Bad
Stink's
dog.
gone again. Stink's flying
Stink,
again.
go.
Wait,
See,
Stink.
worry about
flying
Stink.
again.
Stink's gone
Stink.
again.
Stink's gone again.
Wait,
God,
where's Stink?
You've got a leap
very
of
Where's
toy.
Stink?
How do you get over there?
Oh, there's Stink.
He's off flying again.
No, we found
Doing
him.
very much bug things. Just living on a rock.
If you wanna find me.
Someone go get Stink.
Stink's
Someone
a,
babysit Stink.
Stink's a free spirit.
You just.
Where are we supposed to be going? Is it down here?
Uh,
Oh no, it's
over here
across
where the
here.
bridge is.
Alright. Right, fire squad, I'll have a look around.
Oh god.
I'm ready.
Ah, that was me.
I'm ready.
I
I'm
threw
ready.
you in
I'm
the
ready.
not out of it.
I'm ready.
Do we have
I
Sting?
am in the van.
For now.
You are now.
My god, there's some...
I was always in the van.
that doesn't look good.
Mm-hmm.
They can do that, I'll be fine.
Sure.
Taking 100.
Oh, they're coming fast.
Are they? Oh yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Sting.
Oh, poor Sting.
They won't
Sting,
even
please
know.
don't die.
They won't even know that there's fire.
Oh, God.
They wouldn't
Nah, I
even
got
know
this.
that there's fire.
Don't
We'll
run
have
me
it
over.
extinguished before they can even
Where's-
see it.
Where's the fire?
Run him over.
I actually haven't seen any fire in like ages. I don't actually think there is any.
I don't think there's any fire.
We're
That's
coming,
no
Sting.
good.
We're coming,
Whoa.
Sting.
I'll be out of a job
Hey,
if
I
they
don't
do
see
Oh
him.
my
that.
god.
For a second, I was about to be like, I don't see him anymore.
Oh.
Hold on, I'm checking.
I love we're just
Yeah,
seeing
there's
us
no
go.
fires.
I love we're just Counter-Strike surfing around. I mean, not as much as Stink, of course, but
Ah, dear me.
oh, they're going down there. Is there? Yeah.
Fucking
Oh.
baffled
Oh.
it.
Oh god. Okay, that's close. That's close.
I'm going to have to make a complaint to the catering department.
Oh, the bug on the windshield now. Very sick.
We got a bug on the windshield.
Oh my god, you got. You got any?
Bug
You
on
got
the
wipers?
windscreen.
We've got a stink on the windshield.
You got any wipers?
Ew, someone get the stink bug off. How do you set off the wipers?
You ran me over.
Oh.
We're just chain smoking with our fucking fire extinguishers. It's so fucking funny.
Me and Augie are just chain smokers at this point.
Yeah. Oh, I am. Oh, my lungs are absolutely shot, mate.
Here it is.
There's no hope for me now.
Oh, he's in the
Gotta
van.
find the burger.
Oh, they're in the fridge.
Why do you need an RV
Burn
if you
fridge.
could just do
Nice.
this,
Yeah,
honestly?
nice. I got this.
Sting, where are you?
The RV's plot relevant.
Damn, these guys are
The
so out
RV
of
is
dust.
plot
Wow.
relevant.
Oh, wait, that-
I'm not taking that as an answer.
Wait, who's that?
Ah!
Phone them!
Phone them!
Phone them!
Phone them! Is that Stink? I think that's Stink.
Yeah.
Wait, that
Oh.
is stink! Stop the stink!
Stop the Stink!
Oh wait, watch out, you're gonna fall off!
Oh, fucking hell! Oh, Jesus Christ!
Oh,
Stink, what are you doing?
Oh.
Why you look at the cliff?
This is so fucking scary. This is actually
I don't
quite
know if
ominous,
physics
actually. I don't like
are
this.
yet.
I don't like this,
We're
actually.
just foaming. Get away
You've
from
instilled the
us!
fear in yourselves. Just run up walls now.
You can run up.
Are they
oh,
okay
dear.
down there?
I have no
Maybe
idea where they
those.
are, I'm gonna be honest. I've just carried on.
Yeah, we're
having a
just
snack
been.
break. Ow.
We're just. Oh,
I'm
we're going
spamming
into the mines.
Oh.
As a child, I yearned for the mines.
Should we wait? Should we wait for the other
Should we
guys?
just wait for them?
I feel like this is kind of important. I feel like we should probably have the rest of the...
Hey, hear me out. We just aura farm at like a position.
Oh, I got you.
Hold on,
I
maybe
got
that-
you.
Hear me out. That top of that cliff. There's
Oh, let's go.
literally.
Let's go.
Hold on. I think I know how I'm gonna get you up there.
You got me? Go on. Hey, lovely. Nice that. Love that. Love that.
Right, I'm gonna use the power of.
You got it?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh.
How does Stink do it? I
We
see
do
Stink
not
do
we
it
do
all the
not
time.
question how Stink does what the Stink does. We just sort of accept it, really, and move on with our lives.
Natural ability.
Natural ability.
Oh wait, no, I'm. Oh wait, no, I'm up.
Hey, well done. We can get over there, maybe on top of the like
Ow.
the.
Wait,
thing.
can we just like
Bless
smoke
you.
up here?
Somewhere
Oh
ahead.
yeah, we can. We can smoke up here.
Oh wait, what?
You can smoke wherever you like.
I tripped.
Yo!
Smoking time.
Wait,
Oh my god!
there
Wait!
they are.
Wait! They've got in! They've got in! Fuck, wait for us! Wait for us! Wait for us! We were trying to aura farm. We were trying to aura farm.
Demo.
Oh my god, it's so echoey in here. Fucking hell.
Guys, we got a dead bug.
What? Oh dear.
Dead bug.
Pour one out, lads. Oh god.
Why am I not surprised?
Pour it out.
Bug is
Hey,
no longer
Burger.
dead.
I only have so many lights
Oh.
to break.
It's actually much nicer.
Is everyone
isn't
here
it?
now?
Yeah. Oh wait, can I? Yes. Yeah.
Why is there hello?
Yeah.
Fucking fire extinguisher in here.
Phone party.
Woo, it's like fucking IDs are in here. Oh god, it's dark. Oh, it's dark. Oh, it's dark. Oh, fucking hell.
Oh, it's got dark all
Welcome to the underground.
What?
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 Kill a manslaughter of a bug. Right. Everyone on board. Go.
Yeah, I'm on board.
Yep.
Yep.
Yo, I'm gonna have to turn on my flashlight.
This is fucking terrifying. I
This
don't know
song
about
gets
you.
shorter. Yeah, I haven't even like tried to like edit. Whoops, sorry.
7. Oh my
Perhaps a
god.
shortcut. Alright, let's see
We
who's
have
dead.
flares.
Oh, we got flip.
There's lotion.
Oh, I got lotion. Anyone want to get lotioned up?
No.
Bro.
No. I'm gonna say no.
I
On
stink.
that one.
God, go to that gas.
Ah!
Or whatever the hell that was. Go to it.
It's so fucking loud.
My ice cream.
I'm gonna turn this down for y'all, cause Jesus Christ. Oh, that sounds horrible. Whoever did that, that sounded horrible.
I didn't like that.
Okay.
Why was
Bad
one
news. I dropped the
flares?
ice cream. Good
Oh,
news. I took with my thighs.
lad.
Bad news. My thighs are now covered in ice cream.
Oh my.
Who is
That
that
is on your
dog?
thighs.
Oh god, that's horrifying. This is scary. I don't like it.
Oh, okay.
Wait, where's the fan
So
gone?
I think so, they meant someone else.
Guide the raid.
Who's getting raided?
Raid? We're getting raided.
Oh,
Here
there's
we go.
lava down there. No,
Yeah, don't worry about that.
Like, we're just waving.
Oh. I'll wave. Wow. the
Oh,
army
wave.
not come
Oh,
to
okay.
my end Somehow.
Can I jump that?
Model's being possessed. That's alright.
You might be able to back up and jump it again.
Yo, there's like lava down there.
There you go. Oh, some comfortable guitars. Lovely. Come down. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's not good.
Ooh, that took
That's
a
not
lot of
good.
health.
That's
a lot of
bad.
Take that much.
That's it's fine.
Ah, it's
Oh,
fine. Put some flex tape on it and we fix it right up.
but this is horrific. This is an audio. Oh God, I hate this. What? Oh God, I almost fell. I'm just following up the fan.
Oh.
Oh goodness me. You alright? Nah, this will be alright, lads.
Yeah.
You got it. You got it. It'll be alright.
I don't even know if we have a full team anymore.
I think we do.
Front four
Oh,
in
there's
there.
more.
Ooh.
You just ran over a flippertronic. Whatever the hell it's called.
I don't.
Go left, go right.
I'm just gonna stay here for a bit. I think.
Wait, why does someone have a... Why is someone named a player with a long name and syllables?
Yeah, I
Wait.
think it happens when someone dies. It like bugs out.
Oh. Oh yeah, with a long name and symbols. Yeah, that's debug. That's debug, isn't it?
Wait, what? Where are you looking?
Yeah, because it happened to me earlier, and then I think it happened to Dawn.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is everyone alive?
I think so. Maybe?
Guys, over
Puggy's
here!
dead. Dawn.
Wait, what's over there?
That's an elevator.
Ah,
It's the elevator.
an elevator.
What's the
It's just a
elevator?
normal elevator though.
Oh,
Oh my god, someone's dead. Who's dead?
It stinks.
Take over again.
Sting!
Of course it is.
Oh my god.
For the seventh time. Wait, I can't. Wait, why can't I revive Sting?
Yeah, I can't res him.
Oh no.
Just
Oh
toss him in the
god.
bag.
Knocked out.
Just,
Toss him in the bag.
yeah, throw him in the back, it'll be fine.
Oh, did he land in? Did he land inside?
Did he not?
I did.
I think he might have.
Oh my god, my throwing is so on point, guys.
I did land into
Look at the Vandal Sword. But I don't see it.
Wait for me.
Wait, why Sting behind you, Augie?
What? Whoa, fucking hell!
He just resurrect. Oh god.
Oh god!
Oh no.
Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's
I
bad.
swear.
Oh, that frightened the shit out of me.
Sting is
I swear I
horrifying.
didn't touch anything.
Sting touched something.
I think Stink is like an SCP in this fucking game, lads. I don't like this at all.
Just reappear there.
Oh, there's a crate. Hold on.
Let me put these
Sting,
planks
can I
on.
smash this across your head?
You can try.
Alright, let me put that there. Let me repair this elevator real
Okay,
quick. Yeah, we're all yours. sis.
We're going
getting
fast
there.
as we can.
Alright, elevator's
sure.
fixed.
That's probably enough.
Elevator's fixed. Oh, Dilo. Oh, Dilo. Oh, Dilo.
Murder! Pure murder!
You're right.
We
You took a
good?
bit of a trip there.
Alright, I'm calling it up.
Oh my god, look at that.
Okay.
Oh, we didn't need
It's
that plank.
fine.
That plank's fine. We didn't need it.
That part.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. Oh, fuck me.
We might need that one.
No, you won't need that one.
Hello.
I was leaving. I was so fucking well.
Let's try.
Yeah,
It's
guys.
still up here. We're trying to
Guys, help
get
me.
the elevator working.
What is going on over there?
Right. Up. Sun is up.
My head hurts.
Good lord, what is happening over there?
We don't have any ibuprofen.
I'm down here. I'm down here.
The fuck?
I got you.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's bad. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere near that. That's bad.
Where's the truck?
That's bad.
We can't get the truck down. The elevator keeps breaking.
Oh, huh.
So I have to
Oh,
put myself
no.
place.
Come on. Let's.
Wait, running back.
Oh yeah, this is a state. And that one. That one. No. Try that again. There we go. Yeah. Job's a good one.
Alright. Round 3.
Oh, okay.
Go on, give that another go.
We can make it with one nice plank of wood. Sure.
Who needs wood?
It's fine.
Well,
Women.
usually.
Alright.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Nice one. Nice.
Okay, we got
Alright.
this.
Yeah.
We got this.
Alright.
Keep going.
Alright.
No, don't.
Yeah, that's not fully on.
Oh, is it not fully on? Oh god, no. The back's still. Yeah, the back's still. Yeah.
Alright.
This is when the front end
Okay.
comes
We
out.
good?
Pull
Good.
down.
You right?
Alright. I'm gonna press the button.
Alright.
Technically no, but
Oh no. It's not good. It's not good.
I'm just waiting
can't
to
get
see
in.
the front end just tip and fall straight down.
That's what I'm fully expecting.
And I will
Oh
force my
jeez.
weapon.
Oh god.
oh, it
Oh,
doesn't
dear.
even want, it doesn't want to go forward because that last plank of wood isn't there at the back.
Oh,
That's
gotcha.
true.
That's bad. Just send it, lad. Just lower
It's
it.
fine,
Just
send
just
it.
lend it. Just send it.
Send it.
There we go. Oh god. Oh no.
Oh,
Oh god.
Oh,
Hey.
Over.
Never had.
had. Okay, can
Never
I
had
get
any
this?
doubt. Never had any doubt.
That's this part. Now you're gonna
Sorry.
have to suffer with the other part.
Oh, when you're in here, it doesn't echo. Oh, that's a fucking relief. Oh, my eardrums.
Oh, I was gonna say don't go, but you know what? So.
Alright, follow the flare. Jingle, jingle.
Flares do not jingle.
Jingle jingle.
Follow the
Smart,
red flag,
smart.
jingle jingle.
Who's jingling and what are we
Sparky,
jingling?
Sparky.
Sparkle, sparkle.
Sparkle, sparkle.
Ching ching.
Nope.
Sparkle, sparkle.
Sparkle on, it's Saturday.
We're
Don't
stuck.
forget
Oh, we're stuck on. It's stuck
Dude,
on the plank of wood.
R your V. Oh fuck! I'm dead.
Full send it. Oh, hold on. Okay, don't full send it. Where are you? Oh, I see your body.
Help!
Ah!
I've fallen! And I can't get up!
And I can't get up.
Thank you.
Go on.
Hello.
I live.
Augie.
Why,
Yeah?
am I,
What?
why am I on your head?
Yo!
You tell me.
Thanks for the raid, Smokey. Oh wait, hold on.
I wonder why I
Thanks for the raid, Smokey. How you doing?
I wondered
Things
why
are a
I
bit
was
intense
moving.
in here.
I wasn't doing anything. And then I looked down and I was stood on Dawn's.
Thanks, Smokey, for the raid. I really appreciate that. Things are a bit intense in here. It's a bit loud. Hope that's alright. We're playing some RP with some free Brits. Hope you're doing really well, Smokey. Much love to you.
You'll be like out
If you need to go.
Actually, believe it or not, actually, I'm
If you
not.
need to head off, go
I'm
right
not
ahead.
the type of person- Fucking hell.
I'm down here now too.
Okay.
You alright? What's going on
Oh,
here?
is everyone down there now? I think we're trying to get the plank of wood up here. Wait.
You alright?
Got a plank.
I genuinely can't see. I'm gonna need to pick
Where
up
are
this
you?
flare.
Oh, you're way around. Okay.
Can't see a thing.
Oh, thank you.
Alan?
You're actually the kind of person who what?
How are you? I'm doing alright, thank you.
Right, I'm actually the kind of person who gets everyone to go. Believe it or not.
You're the person to get everyone to go.
I don't believe
Well,
it,
like,
but
go
Get
away.
everyone where they need to go.
Oh, I thought you meant just like leave.
I love getting everyone to go away. That too, of course, of course.
So do you just like, oh, we need to go somewhere. Oh, let's just get Dawn. She knows where we're going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like in
pretty
just
much.
in general. Oh, that's a door gone. That's a lot of things gone.
okay, so
Oh, that's a lot of
gone.
things gone. Ah, fucking hell. Oh, fuck, don't run me over.
I think we might be. Oh, I'm dead.
Uh-oh.
I've got an idea. Hold on.
This is a bit of a pickle.
Nah, I've got an idea. Can
Yeah?
someone lift this panel up?
What panel? Oh, that panel.
The
I
one
don't know
I'm
if I
stood
can
on.
get there, honestly.
There should be a button somewhere that you press that winds this up.
Oh, I failed that
That
one.
button there.
Oh,
That button there.
that button here.
Stand on that. Yeah.
Is that good? Oh, I'll stand on it for a long time then.
No,
Does
you
that
don't need to
work?
Stand there forever. Just give me a second.
What? What do you mean stand there forever?
I didn't say stand there forever. I said stand there for a second.
Oh, okay, sorry.
You're now free to move, right? And then if I go and get... I go to here.
Oh, fucking hell.
It's fine. I've got this.
Relax.
I trust you, you know? I trust you.
He's a very trustworthy person. Trust me.
Yeah. Trust the person with the pudding. Has it gone past? Oh, well done. Oh, God. Hey. Oh, fucking hell.
Wait, I live.
Oh. I don't think I should be able to
Can't
see
park
that
there.
part of the... I don't think I should be able to
Hello
see
there.
that part. Hello.
Guys, Moo is dead.
My Wi-Fi decided to
I
die.
can
Oh,
feel
I'm so
smoke.
sorry. Well done. That's alright, Smokey. Thank you so much for the raid. I hope you're doing alright. Things are a bit busy in here, so if you wanted to head off, that's more than alright. Go and chill.
mean
Get
you
your
don't have
Wi-Fi
hydration
fixed.
with you?
R.I.P. Smokey.
I drank it,
Much love to you.
obviously.
Perfect.
You guys have hydration? I don't. I'm completely thirsty.
Hydrate!
Thursday.
Hydrate! Fucking hell! I actually don't know where... Oh, there's the van. Okay.
Oh, alright. I'll go and grab, like, some drinks.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, it doesn't look like we're going to be going anywhere anytime soon, not gonna lie. Is that right? No.
Yeah, and the other one.
And the other one? Oh, fucking hell. Get on there. There you go. Did it.
There we go. Now we just
Go.
drive.
Much love. The echoey sound of forks on plates. Can I get the other one? God, it's really quiet in here, isn't it? Hold on, let me throw this that way. And I got that.
Someone used the Flipper-Matic Atronica 75,000.
I'm sorry?
The what?
Pardon? You what, mate?
You what, mate?
What? What happened?
We'll have a fucking go.
You
Wah.
Wait, I see the
Side?
Flippertronic 2000.
Bottle of water?
Okay, what is going on?
We're waiting for you to turn us around.
He said something else was right. Everything's great.
Be sensible.
Yeah.
I feel like I've done this a bit prematurely, chat. I feel like I've stood on this a bit too early. Hold on, what if I put this there? Oh, hell yeah. Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Oh, I can't see it, can I? Oh, God.
Because there's ice cream there.
Oh.
That one there.
I don't know where we're going, so I can't see.
Well, what you want to do is you want to turn us around, and then there's a nice little platform we've built for
What is going on?
No.
Ooh.
We're facing the wrong way. It's basically
Oh, they are
what's
nowhere
happening
near where I was sorting this out.
Give me a second, I'll recover
now. At
that.
this point, we should have just crashed to restart.
Right?
That was a good idea.
I mean... Alright, there we go. Let's try that again. Oh my god, I've got the fucking... Woo!
Go.
Good as
I got the fucking fire extinguisher.
Hell happened there?
We did nothing. We got very stuck.
About as much as nothing as I did.
I mean, well,
Alright, I'm back. What happened? Why,
we restart. Hey, don't hit me.
guys? What happened?
We got very stuck.
Ow. It's okay.
Not to self, don't hold the flares near gas. Near like the gas.
Ow! Ow! Who's hitting me? Anyway, time to fill the bathroom
I
with
am
foam.
back. The chocolate cake,
Well,
I can
that-
confirm, was very nice.
Good to know, good to know.
You
Now
didn't share
in-
any with me.
I know, I
And
didn't get
shut up
any.
And not covered in ice cream.
Right, there you go.
I got original
Ruining
juice,
my fun
guys.
time.
If anyone asks, don't go into the... If anyone asks, don't go into the bathroom.
Chocolate cake and you covered in ice cream. God.
Now that's sus.
Nah, have some original
That is
juice,
very,
guys.
very sus. And I'm not sure I'm on board with that one, Chief.
Am I broken again?
No,
No,
you I
can
can
hear
hear you.
No, we hear you.
Oh, fucking hell, I
Every
forgot I was
time
muted
we
again.
allow respawn,
Jesus
you
Christ,
have
I'm
to
so
press
bad at
B.
this.
It's been annoying.
Yeah, it is. I have original juice on me.
Right, I'm not muted now, am I?
Oh,
No, you're not.
now you're
Hey!
We're good?
Professional VTuber, guys. Professional
Hello.
What the
VTuber.
hell happened to the model's eyes?
Right, is everyone on board?
Yes.
No,
Yep.
I'm not. Let me get it.
Right, don't go into the bathroom, whatever you do.
There they go.
There we go.
We
Close
go.
the door.
Salty.
On the road again.
On the road again. In a cave again.
Oh,
That didn't
Hello?
feel
Already
good, I'm gonna be
done
honest.
that's already
Wait to
half
get
the
it
thing that I
crossed
just
out.
prepared. God. Look at that.
Hey, me.
I apologise
Hello.
for my friend. They
Tis
are
but a scratch.
they are
Tis but a scratch.
very easily excited.
Easily excited? What?
You
You're
get
excited
behind the
as
wheel of a
crazy.
vehicle and it's like you're on a rally track.
There's a bear!
Oh.
What?
Ah, how the
Wait, is there
back
a
end?
A bear? A bear? Oh got the ceiling.
Hold on. I've got this. I've got this, guys.
I can't see. I can't see.
Oh,
Can't see.
Steven!
Oh!
Italio! Oh!
Where the fuck am I? Oh, I'm on the back.
Get me
I'm on the
the
bog.
back.
Okay,
I
cool.
can't see shit.
I can't see.
I'm on the bog.
You knocked someone
Okay.
into the lava pit.
Where?
Oh, did we kill Stink again?
Is Stink dead?
No, I'm very much alive.
Oh, well, there we go. Everything's fine then.
Wait.
I should probably pick up the EpiPen, shouldn't I?
Oh, did you get it? I'm gonna
Yeah, I
check
got
out the
one.
burger on the bus.
I got one. Don't worry about it. Right,
When
gonna
the
drop
burger's on the bus, goes round and round.
round and round. Copyright strike. DMC strike. Round and round.
Where's the
Forgot
bear?
about that.
I'll take him on.
All day long. Right. I'll lead the way.
Does that give us an interior light again?
I don't.
This way, this way.
Oh, I've got it. Sorry, I'm trying to repair the roof. Yeah, I'm trying to repair the roof. Get me. Hello? Get me up.
Hello. The copyright. Let's go strike, 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 strike,
Strike, strike, strike.
strike,
Ow,
strike,
ow,
strike,
ow,
strike.
Ow!
That's what fuck you get!
You're beating with a hammer.
Anyway. Just trying to repair the roof.
Right. We all ready?
If you get
Right,
strike,
can't bloody see.
striking
Oggy
thrice,
just
you get. I'll lead the way. I'm lighting up the way.
I am very nearly dead. Do we have anything?
Do the EpiPens work for that or no? Because I know someone picked them up. Oh.
Oh, lost me.
If I take one singular fall, I'm dead.
Right, lift's coming up. Lift's coming up.
Bring it out?
No, don't you dare! Don't you dare! Don't you dare! You bitch!
No.
Don't you dare, you bitch! Don't you do it!
Stop. What are you doing?
you do
No,
it.
stop. What are you doing?
Wait, send it down?
Don't you do it, bitch!
Send it down?
Bitch, don't you do it! Hey, you fucking bitch! I hate you. I hate you so much.
Oh no!
Hey, Oggy.
No.
Wait,
No.
you just bring it back up.
Oh, I'm alive. I'm alive. It's okay. It's okay.
You're alive. You're good.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Hey.
Me threw you up.
Calves of steel.
Fucking hell.
Wait, is everyone down here apart from the van? Oh my god.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Drive it
I'm
off!
the one who's driving it.
Is anyone there?
Everyone
Oh,
else down here.
I swear to God. How did we get this far?
It's fine.
Keep going!
Bit more.
Keep going!
Bit more?
For it!
Bit more. Don't floor it. Bit more.
No.
Wait, a bit more.
Put it in H.
Yeah, a bit more.
Little more.
More.
Bit
Bit
more.
more.
Bit more.
Going.
Bit
A
more.
little bit more, okay.
Bit more.
Keep
Keep
going.
going.
Stop.
Stop.
Hey, good
Alright,
one.
press the
Good one.
button.
Press the button.
Yeah, you can get out and press the button now.
Alright, I have to press it now.
Yes, yes, that's on you, buddy. That's on you.
Oh
Quickly,
god.
jump on.
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus.
Ooh.
Oh.
Okay, who threw the box?
That's fine.
Smooth.
That's fine. Smooth. Smooth as butter.
That was smooth sailing.
Put me down.
Like, I got this.
I'm trying to get on the...
I keep pressing R.
Wait, I know how to get on, don't worry. No, I know how to get on, no, please, I can get on. Put me down.
Don't worry, I got this. I got this.
Right, where are we going? Oh, Jesus.
No, it's not, yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway.
Nearly got you.
No, it's fine, I got it. Okay, so, hey, so I had it.
Right, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
see
put
how I
this
wasn't actually
on.
inside?
Oh, how bad is...
Hey.
Nope. No. No.
Hold on, let me just take a sip of my original juice.
Original juice.
No.
It's my favorite Persona game.
Juice?
OJ Simpson. What?
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 Oh, my cat's outside.
I've got card chase time, guys.
Do you want to play rock, paper,
Done.
scissors?
How'd you
Right.
do it? Oh.
This is my job. I put crates on buttons. That's all I do.
The right three
Alright.
give you your rock.
Let me know when to go.
Ah,
Are you ready?
the right,
On it. Tell
the
me.
right three. Oh, right. Oh, I see it.
There you
Okay.
go.
Right side.
Yes.
Okay.
I see it.
That
on
platform
three.
needs
Wheels
bringing
off,
down a
wheels
bit.
off.
One,
Yeah.
Bring it down.
3.
Do you want this bringing down?
Oh.
You
Yes,
might
sir.
Wait, when do you do it? Wait, hold on.
Bring it down.
So on 3.
1, 2, 3. Oh, no, no.
On,
Oh,
on 3,
okay.
I'm
we're
letting,
good,
on
we're
3, I'm letting go of the chosen emote.
There you go.
Got you. Okay.
Oh God.
I
That
win.
was a lot of things that fell off there.
Whatever.
Hammond!
That's the free.
I need to put these platforms down.
Hammond! I crashed the front!
What's happening?
I'm
Oh,
choosing
dear.
not to-
Hammond!
Hammond.
Okay. Oh, this
Hammond,
one.
I'm going in reverse! Hammond!
You got it. You're good. You're good.
Okay. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good.
You good? You get through? You through? Oh, good goodness, you're speeding. Fucking hell.
Good.
Nice.
I have driving
The VTubers failed to drive a camper van.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
So the entire route flew off.
I crashed
Fantastic.
into a ditch!
Oh my God.
Half HP on it left.
Oh, I got you. I got you, lads. Boom. Smooth.
Let's go!
What would you do without me, eh? What would you do without me?
Oh,
Pouring
wait
it
up!
this. Wait. Hold on, where is this?
Who wants to go on an adventure with me?
Adventure.
What kind of
Somebody
adventure?
was already on the other side of the map.
Who's over there? Who's
Yeah, I've already got the other side.
who's
Oh,
that?
because there's a hole here.
Is it stink?
Yeah, it's stink. It's stinking it.
Wait,
Can't
how
go
am I
there.
gonna get. Oh, how am I gonna. Oh!
Nora, you can't go. You can't go
Oh, wait.
through.
You go through it.
Oh, back up.
Oh no.
Is everyone through?
Hold on. Before we
Where am I?
You guys okay?
I figured one out for the VTubers, right?
I'm scared.
Tonight, the VTubers
bet.
failed to drive a camper van. Dawn repairs a roof, and Dello-chan gives up on life.
Bow, 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 bow.
Case in point.
Wait, where's my cigarette?
Oh, I bet I'm fucking aura forming up here.
Where even are you?
Where are you? Oh my
I'm
God.
up here. Hello.
Oh god.
No.
Hello.
Sorry. What the fuck is
I'm in the tunnel.
Tough.
I blow up.
Wait, how do I do this again?
Is a ghost following me? Hello?
Yes, it's me.
Oh god. I'm hearing dead people again, Dawn. What's the
Okay.
problem?
Oh
some
no.
dead people?
First it was Dawn. Now it's Dello-chan.
Hi, I'm Dawn.
Alright, that's six.
Yes, I
Check
know
one thing
you're
right here.
Oh, is it?
No, it was just what I said
Yeah.
whenever someone says my name.
Oh, sound.
Just around the
Ow. Oh. Who did that?
You took out the grill.
Who did that?
Oh, we're cooking.
That was steak.
Stink.
Wait, are you guys cooking something? I think you'd go that far.
No. The checkpoint is right here, though.
Oh, fucking hell.
I hear me.
Like around
I'm
the corner.
hungry.
Is anyone
I'm kind of
dead?
around the corner.
Alright.
Alright, pick up my fucking flare again. Oh, that's so funny.
Alright, I'm going down. I'm coming down.
Whoa!
Go down, down.
You gotta swinging.
Alright, shut that engine off.
Yay!
Checkpoint.
Checkpoint 8!
Whoa.
Oh,
I
lads,
just
lads.
killed Sting.
No, Sting's fine,
No,
Sting's
kill
fine.
Sting.
Sting's fine, he's
Okay, good.
fine.
I bet.
More durable than that.
Who's the banging tunes?
Hello?
Hello?
I need.
Hello?
Can
Oh my god, what is that?
Oh, not again.
Stop it!
Okay.
Wow.
Hey, can we back the car up a bit? Just a tiny bit. Oh, never mind,
I'm
never mind.
alright. I got it.
You got it?
Never mind, Murasaki's already. I see.
I'm engineer gaming.
Oh,
Engineer.
Put the sentry here. Ooh.
wait, don't go yet. What's the grill?
Does the grill
Oh, okay.
does the grill light have a light on it? Does it like illuminate? I don't think it does.
Illumination.
No, it just goes. It goes out. It goes out on its own.
Where are we going?
You've got to wait.
Alright.
Oh, is that a snake? Oh, I hear a snake. Oh, there's a snake. Oh, fuck, there's a snake.
Everyone
There's a
go.
snake. Alright, that's a snake. Don't worry about that. That's
Oh,
probably
that's
fine.
another
Ow!
snake. Oh, that's another
Ow!
snake. Ouch.
Ow! Ow! Ow!
Oh, there are snakes
Oh,
everywhere.
everyone's dying snakes.
Why are there so many snakes that are solid?
Why are there cave snakes? That's not a thing.
Why are they
Is it?
invisible as well?
I am strong.
Right, there's a bit of a gap here, but you should be alright.
I am worthy of love. You just
You just ran over a snake. That's brilliant.
I am strong.
I think there's a wheel you've got to turn.
Oh, is there?
Guys.
Oh, fucking hell.
Ow.
Ow! No!
Um,
Oh, I'm so fucking dead. I'm so dead.
Out you go,
Well
Sharon.
then.
I'm so gone.
Down you go.
Still
Go spin
smoke
those
in my.
dials.
At least I can still chain smoke in my death.
I'm very down. I'm very dead.
I'm very down under.
Like,
I can still smoke.
what do I do? At least you can still smoke, yeah? Oh, have I been saved? I found the crank!
Down below.
I found the crank! Did that help?
Go.
Am I helping?
Soldier boy.
I'm cranking!
Stop until I say.
Alright. Say when.
When? Sorry.
Alright, I went.
Say yeah, when?
Oh, I see the shadow. Oh, that's really fucking cool, that is. Oh, that's brilliant.
Ooh.
All it took was my death. And now I
Down
can't
on your
see.
left.
Hopefully I don't hit any landmines. That would be really
I'll come up with you,
annoying.
hold on.
Oh my god,
Never
hello.
mind.
Yay. Oh, what happened?
We might be a little fucked,
Oh, I see.
guys.
Oh, a ladder. I found a ladder. I found a ladder. I found a ladder. Hey, how's about that? Oh, you kidding me? Oh, fucking hell. Oh, God. Well done, everyone. Great job all around. Great job, everyone.
Landmines on there.
Great job, everyone.
Put it.
I
Put it
did not
reverse,
expect there to be another one.
Right, let me back us in. So
Back
we
up? Yeah.
Back it up, back it in.
At least wait for the car to get in first.
Mara knows how to get on the job.
You're taking too long.
You're taking too long.
Oh, Dawn's got her trusty hammer out.
Alright. Time
I'm
to order
done.
this girl up.
Right, guys, I'm not gonna lie. I need the bathroom, so I'm gonna sit in this chair and hopefully I'll be alright. Right, I'll be 2 seconds.
You can just get fixing, yeah? Do you have more, Dawn?
We just used all of it. I think someone else was also doing the hammer thing.
Yeah, I was.
I have 3
No,
items.
that's all good, don't worry. There's, ow. The
never mind.
hammer
No,
one
it's
is
all
the
updated, yeah.
nuts
It's
and
updated.
bolts one next to the car health. That was empty.
Yeah, it hadn't updated on my screen yet.
Ah, okay. Oh, I hear the snake.
I forgot
just
about
don't
the
move.
snakes.
Just don't move, we'll be
They're
fine.
very solid, them snakes.
Yeah, they're really solid.
Right, somebody
We just
going
need
down
someone- Yeah, we just need someone to go down and wind the thing.
to... On my way.
I think that should be fine.
I mean, there is literally a ladder over in
Making
the
my
corner,
way
but okay.
downtown, walking fast, tasting fast, and hold down. Ba-dam-ba-dam-ba-dam.
No, 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 no. No, 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 no.
You gonna let go or what?
Well, I was waiting for you to say something.
Right, I'm gonna keep out for those explosives.
Oh god.
We need a pole. There's like... Oh!
For God's where are those explosives?
Invisible, apparently. What the fuck?
No one is...
Oh my God! No, I know
Oh,
what
God.
it is. I know what it
Oh.
is.
Yeah. Yes, guys.
Yeah, I know what the problem is. Ow.
Yeah.
The natural gas.
Yeah, it's the natural gas and the
Who's this?
Tank?
Oh, hi, Stink.
where the fuck did I put the
Yes,
wheel?
You guys lost a tire down here?
We've lost many.
No, that one was already down.
Yeah, the entire back up.
I can't attach the wheel. Oh God. I think it's a little fucked.
Can't attach it.
I think it's fucked beyond repair. Okay. Here we go.
Well,
We'll do the same
restart.
again.
Yep.
Oh, I can't. I actually
Hey, you know,
genuinely can't do it.
both wheels on this side are gone.
I got one.
Okay, no, we are fully.
I'm dead.
It's okay. We're gonna have to restart. Both wheels are gone, and they're not attaching.
Right, I think I know what the problem
Right,
is.
what did I miss?
I think
Oh,
the issue
oh,
is...
did we die?
No, I think the
Yeah.
issue is when we get to that second platform, there is the gas deposit spurting out, and there is the
Did we
the
die,
flare,
chat?
and we drive over the flare, and the flare is nudged into the gas,
What
and
the
gas
fuck
goes
happened?
I don't know. Did we die?
Did we die? I just went to the bathroom and
Yeah,
Well,
they blew the
that's
map.
happened to me. That's
blew
happened to me
what?
before when I was like walking.
Hold it there.
oh my goodness me.
Be very careful with your flares.
Yeah, if you see like gas, don't go near it with the blow it with the flares.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
I think that's our problem.
Ow! Snake!
Snake. Double snake.
Oh, come on.
Triple snake. Ow! Triple snake!
Quadra snake.
Penta snake!
Ace.
I'm trying to find where that ladder was so that I can help. Ow! Oh, oh. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Vera. Yo!
Oh, there's another snake.
Fire!
Jesus
Thank you
Christ,
so
how
much
many
for the
snakes are
raid! Oh my god, we're getting so much fucking raids here. How's it going? I hope you're doing alright, Fire.
there?
Things are a little bit hectic around here, but you know, it's
another
great to
snake.
have you. It's great to have you. If you need
Christ.
to head off at any point, just let me know, alright?
How many bloody snakes are there?
I'm a snack. Fucking hell. I'm losing it already. What's down here? Oh, nothing. Okay, let's not.
Oh, I found metal scrap.
Oh! Ooh! Ooh! Look at this!
Oh, what's down here?
Look at that! Is that your urinal?
There's a cowboy hat down there as well.
Oh, fucking hell. Hold on, let me grab that. Switch!
Oh, there's lotion here. Come on, let me just laugh at myself up.
Oh, I was already wearing a cowboy hat. Hello, Fire. How's it going? How's it going with you? You alright? How you doing, Fire? You alright?
We're committing arson now.
We're committing arson now. Sorry about the raid.
When do we get more
We
stuff?
got some fucking...
Who's picking up the scrap? I need to know where.
Wait, no.
Play
don't
with the
put
raid
that.
message because Twitch was
That's
being
for-
stupid. Twitch is being a little bit stupid for a lot of people right
I
now,
think
but it's
that's for
alright.
that at the top.
Is that up there? Oh, okay. Are they there yet? No.
it's
Oh
that
my god,
one.
they are nowhere near. Okay.
You aren't getting me again, Snake. Go away.
You right? Alright, come on. God, this is terrifying.
Stupid Snake. I have the high ground.
If you need to head off Fire, go right ahead. More than alright.
Oh, someone's got to stay in here and just crank that soldier boy.
Crank that!
Soldier boy, get me.
Soldier boy,
Crank
here
the
we
soldier
go.
boy, watch me, oh,
Watch me crank that, watch me. Oh, watch me crank that soldier boy. Super.
Oh. Woo.
Need the bridge.
Don't mind me.
Wait, where's the thing for the bridge?
Mouse moved.
I can't find it.
I don't like the fact I can see a red.
Oh, there's a snake. There's a snake. There's a snake. There's a snake. No problem. No problem. Oh, there it is. You got it? Okay, there's Soldier Boy. Woo. Oh, fucking hell, what was that? Someone,
I don't know what they're playing at.
did
We have
someone
a
die?
Flare.
Ow! Fucking hell.
Guys, can we get a bridge, please?
I thought
I mean, they are cranking, but
Crank
so-
that
Mur, are you
boy.
doing?
Oh, they are.
Mur's cranking. Mur's cranking.
Why me? Oh, no, it's all right. No,
Porque.
no, no.
Was that my name? Did someone call my name?
Porque.
Oh no, it didn't. Alright,
Nailed a quick combo.
I'm hearing things.
Fucking died.
Oh my god, are you alright? Oh my god, I'm so...
No.
Hello. Hi Stink, you alright?
Snake decided to poison me and then throw me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. They tend to do that.
Quite a red.
Instead of running on the bridge, I fell through the only gap.
Oh.
No.
Who's got a flare near the thing again?
Just
You want a
keep
flare?
going, we're just cranking.
I love how the smoke clears. All I see is a dead body.
I'm sliding away here.
Oh,
I'm
you're
slipping
right.
away here, cranking the soldier boy.
I'll crank it for you. I'll crank it for you. I got it.
We don't have torches.
You got 3 people cranking
wall, I
this
think.
thing.
Am I?
You're cranky.
How many people? Yeah, how many people? Yeah.
We're all
The
here.
one in
one
front
are
of
you
us
at?
moved.
There.
We're at the
Where are you
first one.
cranking?
We're this one. Where are you?
You're cranking the wrong one.
You're going to the wrong one.
Oh, fucking hell. Why didn't you say so?
Hello.
Hold on.
I think cranking the
Yeah.
Which one are we meant to be cranking
Cranking
then?
the wrong one. Oh, wait.
Crank
Pause.
down.
Pause.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, no. No!
Hey guys.
How is it still? Okay, well.
There you go.
I mean, the
Jesus
van's
fucking
Christ.
I don't know how we recover this.
I'm surprised that the roof was fine.
Wait, guys. Why don't we
don't think
wrench
we
it
can get
up?
out of
We
it.
can wrench it up.
Oh, we
There's
can
a
wrench-
bolt up there.
Yeah.
Are you sure that's a good idea? Remember the last time we winched a van?
Oh, it'll be fine. Don't worry about
Do
it.
we even have any way to winch it up to?
You have a better
Yeah,
idea.
we'd need to get it up to the. We'd need to attach it to one of the wood panels.
Ah, wood.
Where are we going?
I'm genuinely so lost here.
Well, we need to get back up top somehow.
Like, bring it over here and see if we can get the winch up here.
Oh, who's that?
Oh.
Hello, I fell off.
Oh, I can't revive you. I can only push you. I'm so sorry.
Whose body's that? Yikes.
Left. Yeah.
Let me-
Now pull over to where Jello Chan is.
Oh, like to the go first gear again?
There you go.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me put you in there.
Straight ahead.
Let me put you in.
Alright, stop there.
Oh.
There you go.
Thank
Da.
Thank you.
No worries.
Oh, hello.
No problem.
In the bog. There you go. Hold on, let me just there you go. There.
Right, we'll
Yeah.
touch it.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. No problem at all.
Turn around.
There's someone already in there. I'm so sorry, Cena. I didn't realize you were in there. That's really embarrassing. I'm so sorry.
Someone's already in the bog. That's crazy.
I'm so sorry. That's very embarrassing of me. Where did I put my flare? Oh, there it is.
Guys, I'm getting a hang of this driving thing.
That's not something I want to hear. Oh God, is there a
Right,
snake?
stop
Oh
there,
God, is there a
Dawn.
snake? Oh fuck, I
I'm
died.
not driving anymore. Oh.
Right, where's the winch control?
Okay.
I have
Save
no idea if this is gonna work.
me!
Hang on tight.
That's
Dawn.
pushing
We
me.
have no revive.
Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's no
not?
good.
We have
That's
no
no
revive.
good.
Just carry his body until the end.
Carry me.
Hang on tight, Dawn.
So here lies Augie.
Hello. Oh, I'm through the floor. Oh, I've fallen. I've fallen through the floor. Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's not good, is it? Oh, here I am. Am I alive?
Hey!
Oh, this game. Oh, all right. There we go. I'll just spectate someone, I suppose.
Yeah.
Hey up.
Oh god, this is the bit where Dello-chan died when we were playing it, and I clutched it.
Oh my God, this thing.
Sorry.
Speaking of which, speaking
The
of
gun.
which, you killed Del.
Oh,
How do you
Like,
feel about
the
killing
squad's
Del?
in
Look at
fucking
this.
tatters, lads. The chat,
pass
it's in
it.
fucking tatters.
Wait, can you move forward a
Guys.
bit? Stop.
Oh, yeah,
Stop.
Dawn.
Oh my God.
Stop, I'm fine.
Limbus Company.
Yes, we're fine. I know how to drive. We're fine.
Guys, this is what I think of us killing Dello-chan. Hold on.
Are you gonna put
Wait,
him on
wait,
the
wait,
body, or?
Wait, before you go, there's like two
Cast his body into the fire. Yeah, cast his body into the fire.
This is what I think of it.
Wait, okay, I actually am getting a hang of this driving. What the hell?
Set him aflame.
No,
I
boy,
should
you're not.
be neutral.
Ah, there's a bear!
What?
There's a bear!
Get up.
Oh,
Guys!
fucking hell.
Guys,
Oh,
there's a
fuck.
bear!
It's actually kind of funny just to watch them all do
Bear
this,
spray?
not gonna lie. It's kind of funny.
It's fine.
We
It's
don't
going
have a
after Dello
door, so
Jam,
if
it's
that bear
fine.
gets in,
Oh no, it's not.
I
It's coming
guess.
back. Alright, come on, big dude. Come on, big dude, come on. Yeah, and what? And what? And what?
Hold
Huh?
on.
Yeah, the other one,
Yeah,
right,
This
you
is
run
annoying,
away.
chat. I'm gonna
You
need
run
to head
away.
off. I'm gonna need to head off in like 10 minutes, and I need to tell
Yeah,
them, so I
right.
need them to
Come on,
revive
okay,
me within
we
10
will
minutes,
go.
so I can tell them I'm heading off.
We're good. Ah, okay, it wants to go. It wants to go.
Like
It wants to go.
tab at least.
You good?
All right.
What is going
Yeah,
on?
we're good. Tell
Play
me
with
how.
the long name. Oh, is that me? Was that my body when I died?
Forwards.
Wait, Ogyon, you're
Well,
Just straightforward.
heading off.
No,
I
you
need
careful,
to in
there is
like
lava up ahead.
10 minutes.
Oh my god, it's the 7 dawns.
I don't know how you can hear this. I'm
Oh.
casting
Far
my
away from
voice.
the next checkpoint, to be fair.
No, we're not. It's
Oh, are
right
we?
over
Oh,
there
that's
on that
bad.
Oh wait. Lava.
Oh, it seems to be fine. I feel like I might be able to tell them sooner than for later.
I'm fine.
What was that you were saying,
literally
Dawn,
fine,
about
guys.
getting a hang of the driving?
Dawn's doing a bang up job. I don't know what you're saying.
Oh my.
Oh.
Just hear. Oh. Oh fucking hell, lad.
That went well.
Fucking hell, lad.
Good job,
Fucking
everyone.
hell.
This thing back in my hands.
GG. Right, I mean, I need to head off in 10 minutes. So we either get this checkpoint in 10
It's okay,
minutes,
it's
or I
okay,
need
10
to
minutes, we
go.
can make it to the next checkpoint.
Come on,
Don't
speed run
worry.
it. We got this. We got this.
Let's do
Full
it.
speed, full set.
Full tilt. Let's
I
go.
also
Let's
need
go.
to leave in
Let's
about
go.
10 minutes.
Sorry.
Just gotta wait for Dawn to do her expert repairs.
Oh yeah, no worries, no worries.
Great.
Only but the best.
Done.
Okay, we're just waiting on the chassis.
Froggo out here DMing everyone.
Right, you buckled in? Cool.
Go down and crank that soldier boy.
Crank that soldier boy. What? They're dominating. Ow!
Oh.
Right, we need the first bridge.
I'm dead.
That's a good job I wasn't talking to you.
Again!
I'm working on
A snake got me.
Alright, next one. Let go. Thank you.
That flare being close to that is not. That's not good, is it, chat? That's not
Yeah,
good, is
no.
it?
I'm going to drive
No,
straight past
can we
it.
move? Oh, God.
Oh, I see the
Wait,
snake.
revive you.
Can you revive me?
Okay, don't wind to the next one. Don't wind it yet.
Guys,
Okay, now wind it.
I don't think we're reaching this checkpoint in
Crank that
10
soldier boy.
minutes.
Wait, where's the other guy?
Guys, they're all running away.
Wait, Og, where are you?
I'm in the corner.
Okay.
I'm next to a flare and a gas thingy. I'm also next to a snake, so you know, take care.
There's another one, right?
I can
There.
see the garage if
Oh,
that
That's
helps.
the same one, right? Oh no, that's one over there.
You're getting closer. I can hear your voice a little bit louder. Warmer. Just keep making a noise.
Is it this one?
Oh.
I'm guessing we're nearby?
Oh, warmer, warmer,
I don't know what we're looking
Or wait,
warmer.
away, or...
I
haven't fallen down if that's where you are. I don't know where you are.
Oh, I think we're below you then.
Oh, okay.
Ow.
Up a bit. Cold. You're very cold then. You're very cold. You're fucking Arctic.
Really?
Right, we'll come it up.
I'm coming up. Button up. Oh, that health went down. Oh, did you see that? Oh, that's no fucking good. That's not good.
Oh, where are we going?
Oh, I see someone. I see someone. Help. I'm smoking out a sign. Right, you may want to put down that flare.
Oh,
There's a
I see.
there's a gas pipe right up there. There's a bit of gas right there. You don't want that anywhere near you. Hello. Yippee! Thank you. Right, running away from this, oh dear, don't want to blow that up. Right, there we go.
Go.
Oh god, oh fucking god, oh Christ on a bike. Christ on a bike. Alright, go, 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 go. Yeah, go, go, go.
Speed run.
Oh shit!
Bit more. Stop.
Snake! Snake!
Wait. Oh,
Very solid snake.
A very solid snake!
there we go.
Right, there is a bear, so I'm going to try and just floor it.
Okay. Let me sit down.
Alright, let's bring that back up. Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Why is that there?
Cool, why do we have those people? I see that we didn't need 2 vans. I feel like this would have been a hell of a lot more difficult. Oh, fuck me.
No.
You're right.
Yeah,
You're
I
right.
think 2
You're right.
vans
We're
would have
good.
been a bit much.
That would have been a bit much. Alright, I believe in them to get to this checkpoint wherever it is.
Oh, don't worry, Legendary's done this before. On his
Oh.
own.
Well, there we go.
He nailed it through this.
We're in good hands. We're in good hands.
He's driving, we'll be
Where
fine.
I go now? Bear with me.
Bearing with.
Ow.
Sorry.
Oh shit, I'm so sorry. I'm
Oh,
so
it's-
sorry. I
it's
feel like I'm in the
hell of
way.
his way.
I feel like I'm in the way. I'm so sorry.
No, surely not.
No, no, no.
Smile.
Oh. Nice one.
Okay.
Clean.
He's professional at this one.
There we go. Pro RV
Right,
there yet
this is
gameplay
the
right
small
here.
amount of reconnaissance is where I go next.
Can you normally go right and then straight across?
I think.
You
Yeah,
came
we go.
that way last time.
I
In
think
summary,
we
chat,
go-
I have
we
not
go
helped
left.
one dot. I've not helped one dot. I've just been here. Hi, Stink. How's it going? You right?
You've helped more than I have.
I highly doubt that, but no, you might have a point there actually.
All I've done is die. All I've done is die.
Just been here for a good time.
Yeah, we're here for a
Oh my
good
goodness.
time, not for a serious time.
Turn a bit.
Here we go.
Straightforward.
Hey!
Absolutely fantastic.
Well
I
done,
am a
guys.
professional at that section.
Oh my goodness, we're the best at this game. We are so fucking good at this game.
We're
Right,
literally the best at this game. What the hell?
Yeah, 100%. We are the MVPs.
We're
Right.
really professionals.
I need to head off now, but I will give you all my love. You got this. You got this. You'll get to the end. I believe in all of you.
Thank you.
I know it'll be
Oh,
such
no,
a pain.
This bit. Oh no.
I know it'll be such a pain because, you know, I helped
Oh,
so
what's
much.
that?
Oh, fuck yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm out. I'm out. Bye. Alright, I'm leaving
Yeah,
now.
whatever.
Right,
Go
bye.
leave us. Go leave us then. Bye, Ollie.
Bye.
Like, wait.
What the fuck was that, chat? Right, chat. Thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna head off now. Oh, fucking hell, that was hilarious. I need to do that more. I need to do that more. That was so fucking funny. All right, can we rate someone? Do we have to leave the thing, or should we rate? Oh, fucking hell, I might not rate anyone. I might just leave. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how this works. Can you rate someone by you being when you're streaming together? Probably. I don't know. Tell you what, I'll just leave that there. Tell you what, I'm gonna leave, and then I'm gonna exit out. All right, right. Let's just leave that, and then we'll head off. All right, chat. Thank you ever so much for watching. I really appreciate y'all. I'll see you next week. I'll have a schedule up on Monday on Twitter, Blue Sky, everything else. Continue to slave away. Thank you so much for modding, Froggo. I really appreciate that. I hope you're all doing well. If you want to head off to everyone else's to see their footage, to see the rest of RB there yet, go right ahead. But I need to head off now. So thank you ever so much. I will see you next week. All right. I love you all. Bye, 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 bye.